Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears as we're getting deep into the paranormal, supernatural, and maybe some skinwalkers tonight. Yeah, Merle is back with Ghosts of the Great White North. We got the Paranorthwest team here. Amanda Paulson as well. We're getting for a good night. Dirty Filth is here as well with another rockin' cartoon. But first, we say hello to all of you. Race fan in the gold medal position. Penny Van taking home the silver. Daniel Foster with a bronze medal tonight. Hi, Michael Morris. Given the Merle, yes, it is time to Merle it up, people. We need some serious Merling in the chat room tonight. Penny Van, how are you? Brown Dwarf, Chris 716, Sugar Britches, Brad Ford. Dave Walters is here. Yeah, Dave from Kamloops. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Hi, Robin McCrae. Nice to see you. Susie B., thank you for joining us. Donna, how you doing? Sandy B., what's happening? Monica, thanks for coming on in. Hey there, our good friend Simon in Australia. He's ready to Merle it up. All right, let's get to it here, people. Luscious Jules, nice to see you as we continue on with roll call tonight. Robo 1776, nice to see you. Rui from Portugal, thank you for joining us. And Jessica Merling it up as we speak. Markham, how you feeling, buddy? Give us an update if you don't mind. Hi, sweet Donna Spencer, much love to you. As we continue on with roll call, Robert Lamoth, Nancy Thames, how are you? Obi Flett, yes, he's going to Merle it up, not only on this show, but in Vegas in 2 months' time with Merle. That's going to be some serious Vegas Merling. We're going to get some Merle poses there. Absolute Merle poses. Pat Toohey, good to see you. Roy Boy, nice to have you here. Millennium, my man, thank you for joining us. Pixie Lara, Serpent, good to have you both here. Hey, Zach, what's going on? Asteroid is here. Asteroid is going to be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Laura Lobbs, how are you? D. Cohen, good to see you, my man, as we continue on with roll call. Truth Entertainment, good to see you. And Susan in Indianapolis over on Facebook, thank you for joining us. Hi, Dutch Hank. Mirror Person, welcome to SOR Chat. Penny Van's Merling hard right there. Look at that. Matt Geek, good to see you. Vash the Impaler, Bob Davis, and _ Maddie. What's going on, my man? Hope you're doing well. Sovereign Farts, rip hard, buddy. Emma Tong, welcome back. And Marlena again. And let's see, who else do we have? Crystal J. Nice to see you. Hi, Christine Lynn. Yeah, there's Laura. Merling hard as we speak. Area 51. Peppa H getting some Merles in. That's right. You got to go hard here. Even Merle is Merling himself. Lee the Bee, how are you? And Sensational Sherry, good to see you. Hi, Jay Burke. Guy Calgary, how you doing, buddy? Candy Wolf, nice to see you. Luscious Jules and Filth Merling it up. There's some Monica Merle right there. Video Game Zombie, good to have you back. And Sugar Britches, that's hard Merling right there. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Let's get the radio side going. Pretty soon you're going to see Bill WD-40 jumping on in there to lube us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. All right, continuing on, Timothy Fellon, welcome back. Evan Walters, you're pissing me off, buddy. Already, we've just started. And who else do we have here? Bobo, Christopher Nelson, welcome to SOR Chat. Glenn John McEnroe, the Pride of Wimbledon. Kathy Evans, nice to see you. And Warden Dragon, thanks for coming on in. Race Fan is merling hard. That's fifth gear merling right there. Crystal J, thank you again. As we are caught up in our chat room, thank you for coming on in. And we're going to get to all of you. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. Don't forget, you can buy our swag by going to spacedoutradio.com, going on our store. Hi, Maggie M10. Good to have you here. Do me a favor, everybody. It is that time of the night where I ask you to get your horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, Talk Street Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have a power show of paranormal tonight. Merle is back for Ghosts of the Great White North, and he's brought some friends with us to talk about this weird investigation weekend they had just a couple weeks ago in Spokane, Washington. Then in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. Then little Timmy Senor is going to join us for the UFO report. Yes, it is that time of the month once again where we welcome in our main man, Merle, the best Canadian paranormal investigator going in my terms. And hey, I may be a little bit biased, but you know what? I always like it when my good friend Merle joins us from the Paranormal Road Trippers based out of Vancouver, British Columbia for Ghosts of the Great White North. This is where we take a look at the paranormal each month from around North America and the world, bringing you the hauntings, the spookiness, and the ghosts that walk among us. Tonight, we got the team from Paranorthwest and Amanda Paulson joining us as we are going to bring you some real creepy stories that just seem to happen over this past weekend. And Merle, it is always a pleasure to have you back, my friend. How you doing?
With the inflation you just gave my head.
Yeah, that was pretty large and in charge, wasn't it?
It was. But we're here to talk about our guests and what everything they experience with Canadian food.
Oh, really?
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about Canadian food. Screw the paranormal.
This is a food
Ask them.
Did you bring down some treats for them that they can't buy down there?
We did, and we got some good video of them doing some reviews, honest reviews. Some of us don't like ketchup chips.
Oh, that's terrible. How do you
Yeah.
Time out a second here. How do you not like ketchup chips? They are phenomenal.
I mean, that's your opinion, and everyone's allowed to have one, okay?
Oh my gosh.
I love them, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, wonderful. Merle, do us a favor. Introduce your friends here who are with us so our audience in Radio Land and YouTube Land can put it all together.
My left would be the Paranorthwest. To my bottom, I can't do this, man, because I can't see with all this. We got Paranorthwest, Amanda Paulson, and Mr. Filth doing our drawing. I wonder what he's drawing.
Remember, our radio audience can't see people.
Oh, they can't. So we have Eric, Shayla, Cheyenne, and Amanda. All from the Spokane area.
So how did this investigation come together, Merle?
I've been speaking. Oh, I guess Eric, how long have we been speaking for? A couple of years almost.
Yeah.
I'm a fanboy of their podcast, the Paranormal West, and my dreams came true when I got to go investigate with them. It was amazing.
Oh, stop it.
And with Amanda, we've been following each other for, oh God, since 2018, 2019 on Instagram. And she was in the area and we all met up and had a great old time investigating Eric and Shayla's house.
That is awesome. Eric, maybe for our radio audience, you won't see this, but he has one hell of a great handlebar mustache, one that we should all be envious of. You know, and I actually FaceTime Merle down there just so I could see Eric's mustache.
That
And
is true.
That is true. Yes. But I mean, talk about your house here. What makes it so haunted? What's going on there?
I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, there's a lot of okay. So Merle brought us the pamphlet, which was all news to us. So it's all history that we were unaware of. And so, yeah, we found out there were many people that lived here and they could still possibly be here. So I don't know how many spirits we were talking to.
Yeah, and we found out, like, we were told that our house was built in 1905, but we found out that it's actually built around 1898, which is kind of a weird coincidence because when I was down in the basement one day just rooting around, I found a hand-blown glass flask that was dated 1898.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that date kind of resonated, and then once he let us know about that, we were, shocked. And our house was built on what was like an old cemetery, and before the houses were built, they moved all the bodies, and the original cemetery was like right on our block, and it looks like our house was just plopped right on top of it. So that could have a lot to do with kind of the new spirits that we were contacting this last investigation.
Very interesting. You know, your house, having to live in a haunted house every day, Eric and Shayla. When you go in there, and is it always on? Okay, like my house is haunted. Merle's been to my house. My house is very haunted as well, but very rarely, maybe it's because we're used to it, there isn't a lot of activity that we actually pick up. But for you guys, what's it like?
Actually, Amanda said it right when she walked into the house, and she came in knowing absolutely nothing. And she said that basically you can kind of turn it on and off. So like when you want to talk to them, they'll talk. But when you don't, they just kind of go about their business. And that's exactly how it is.
We actually filmed Amanda doing a walkthrough of their house, and I was watching it. I watched it all back when I got home, and Amanda, you were on. You did good. With this stuff you picked out, and the energies and vibes you felt, you were on with the investigation from the night, from our second night there, as well as some of the history that is in the documents that Eric and Shayla have. It was good. It was a good night.
Right on. That's the first time hearing of that I was on about some stuff, so I'm glad to hear it.
Now, Amanda, this was your first time at this location as well, I do believe. And, take us through this. When you enter a brand new location that you have never investigated before, how is that different from, say, a location you've been to 5, 6, 7 times?
How is a new location different from one I've been to multiple times? Gosh, I don't know. It's just like walking into a friend's house versus walking into a stranger's house, but with the dead. It's very interesting. And I last time I was on the show and I talked to you guys, I was just a ghost hunter. Not that is not cool, but I was not doing readings of houses or trying to do any of this stuff. So this is fairly new to me still. But walking into their house was really interesting, and especially having no background knowledge, it was really cool.
And let's bring in Cheyenne here. Hi, Cheyenne.
Yeah.
It's
Hi.
good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. For
Thank
you, I mean, working with Eric and Shayla, I mean, this is nothing new to you, but what was it like having a couple of paranormal newbies coming into this house and investigating with you guys?
We're so used to all the activity that goes on. So it was really cool to see their perspective of what happens when things arise in the house, because we're just so used to it. And it was cool the way that we investigated. I think the paranormal road trippers have a really interesting way that they investigate, and it was just cool that we all were able to bring something to the table.
That actually brings up an interesting question, Merle, and that is there's the team of the Paranormal West, there's you, there's Amanda there. That's really three different ways of investigation. How did you guys all come together, and how did it work knowing that all three of you have, or all five of you rather, have all different styles of the way you did things?
I thought it was great. We were going to do an experiment, and I think this is when Cheyenne wanted to do the Gainesfield, and then Amanda said, "Hey, let's try. Can I try? You call it the L technique, right?
The L method.
The
Yeah.
L method." She's like, "Hey, can I try the L method while we do the Gainesfield?" And I didn't think about that until she mentioned it, and then we're like, "Yeah, let's do this." And it was really neat taking people's styles and techniques and how they investigate and kind of mushing it into one sort of investigation. So during Cheyenne's Gainesfield, we had Amanda in the living room doing the L method, and again, she was on doing that.
What
Um,
is what is the L method for those of us who don't know?
The L method is a new method I've been working on. It's a lot like the Estes method, just in a kind of a solo environment and involving automatic drawing and writing. So instead of having people ask me questions while I'm listening to a spirit box and have a blindfold on, I'm instead channeling alone with that equipment on and also drawing and writing. So my idea was that I could maybe connect to Cheyenne while she was in the Gansfeld experiment up in the attic, and try to connect to her and basically read her while she is communicating with spirits, kind of a game of telephone in a way.
That sounds really interesting, because usually we want to hear that communication, but you're going straight to telepathic.
I'm trying. And Cheyenne's very talented at the Gansfeld. That's something the Paranorthwest does a lot of, and I've never done that before. And so I just, asked her, I was like, can I hop in your brain for a second, so to speak? I'm kind of going to ride the coattails of this, Gansfeld experiment. And it was really cool. It was really weird, but it was really cool.
All right, Eric, let's get to you here. When it came to it, when you notice, I mean, your team, you guys are used to doing things your way, and then all of a sudden you have Amanda trying new things, Merle coming in, trying some different things that you might not be used to in the house. How did that go with the spirits? Were they accepting of it all, or were they a little bit like, hey, who's this guy and who's this lady?
So the spirit in our bedroom is apparently not a fan of Canadians, because he was very active and was answering all my questions off the bat, basically. And as soon as Richie would start asking questions, he would get quiet and nothing, not even a peep, no beeps, no lights, absolutely zero activity. And so I asked him, and I was like, are you not a fan of Canadians? And the little light kind of went up to be like, not so much. And so Richie's standing there behind the camera, and he's like, come on, dude. Like, they're like, hey, well, the guy doesn't want to talk to you. But it was really cool because Paranorthwest, although I'm very type A, is very gray. No structure to our investigations. We kind of just go off of feel. And it was nice having Merle show up and being like, day one, these things, day two, because we didn't miss anything. Like we tried a bunch of new stuff. We got a ton of evidence, and I mean, we're all very gabby people. So if we would have just sat there, it would have been 4 days of us just being like, oh, and then like, what about this? And then all of a sudden nothing happens. So it was good. It was very productive.
Was there any different responses, Cheyenne, from the house, considering you guys have investigated it so much, but with two new members and new investigators in there, did it bring out anything different, or did you notice anything different?
I feel like when we try to target specific spirits that have either lived like within the house throughout their lives, I feel like that was a little bit different, especially because that's something we've never done. So I feel like the energy that they were bringing to the table, it was different, but the lights definitely went off when we were investigating. So that's something that always comes through for us. Trying to think of anything else. I mean, do you have anything to add, Jalen, Eric, to that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like it was cool because, you know, they were trying to target specific people, and we've never really done that. It's just like whatever's here that wants to talk, we're just wanting to talk. But yeah, it was very different.
Yeah, they kind of showed up on the last night. It was almost like they knew that Merle and Richie were going to leave the next day. So they were like, giddy up. We're gonna do some stuff.
And Merle, how was the overall experience? And you know, I know you're all friends. I know you're all, you know, growing ever closer. And once you finally meet face to face, that brings you so much closer in such a good way, which is so productive for the paranormal in the way things go. But to learn the nuances of the Paranorthwest team or Amanda's team, I mean, when you kind of blend it all together, what did you learn?
I learned new tricks. I learned just the way different people work and how they do the craft when we're investigating it. Like I loved how heightened we all were. Like the first night, because like we drove to Spokane and I've never met these people, and I'm like, well, I'm staying in their house. I don't want to become a ghost, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But no, we all vibed right away. And when Amanda showed up, it was like we knew, I guess technically by Instagram, but we all kind of knew each other. But now we had a face to it, and I love learning new techniques. Like I loved watching Eric, Shayla, and Cheyenne do their thing. I loved watching Amanda do her thing. I like looking at all their gear, looking at what they have, because Dave, you know, I'm a little bit of a gear guy, and it was great. The first night, my experience was I slept with the light on, Dave. I was petrified of the room I was sleeping. I don't know, dude. I've slept in many haunted joints in my life, and I was absolutely petrified. Around, I forget what time it was. Was it like 4:30 in the morning or something? I heard two people walking down the hallway and then two females talking by their attic door, of course. And I'm like, everyone's sleeping. I haven't heard these voices before. I know Richie's sleeping. And then I'm like, oh God. Because I was going to turn the light off, try and sleep. But no, I heard ghosts plain as day. This is a scary night.
At least you didn't run out of the house this time.
I learned not to run anymore. And it was cold outside, and I was told not to go outside unless someone was with me.
Right. You think the house is scary. You should see the neighborhood.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, the house would give me the creeps. Just as we got about 4 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Ghosts of the Great White North going on here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Now, you know, for all of you, I mean, you all had different experiences throughout the week or the few days that you were investigating. You know, Amanda, what was your favorite part of investigating the Paranorthwest house?
Oh man, my favorite part. I feel tempted to say the ghosts, but I'm gonna piggyback on what Merle said. With it being really cool to see each other's processes. And also, I felt like the energy, like the lived in people energy, was just really positive and really cool. Maybe, maybe it was a little freaky sometimes, but overall, I just felt like it. The house is beautiful, which everyone will get to see eventually, but your guys' house is gorgeous. Old, just really thick with some really cool energy. So it was neat.
At any point, Amanda, when you were in there, did you feel scared like Merle did, or did you sleep like a kitten?
I did not sleep in the house. I got to just go in and out. I did leave at like 1 a.m. But I didn't sleep there. Did I get scared? There was like 2 instances. Once in the attic where I was just checking it out real quick, and I'm like, absolutely not. This is so scary. And then we were having, I don't know if I'm spoiling anything. We were having a tea party with the ghosts, and I got a little freaked out then too. The energy, as we were talking about, comes and goes. It kind of activates and kicks up when we start poking the bear. So I got a little freaked out, but I didn't have to sleep there. I think I maybe would have gotten more freaked out sleeping there.
You know what? You guys are lucky I wasn't there, because I'll be honest with you, with the loudness of my snoring, every one of those spirits would have ran out. Would have ran right out. Yeah, it would have been nasty. I would have ruined your house for you.
Yeah.
I would never have been invited back. Dave, tomorrow night we'd appreciate if you stayed at a hotel like 12 miles away. That's the way it would have been. But no, you know what? I love the fact that you guys came together. And when we're 2 minutes away from the break here, Merle, and when we come back, I want to get into some of these ghost stories from the house and what you guys were doing. Let's get in deep with that, because in hour number 2, there is a cryptid side to this show tonight that I'll be honest with you, I've been frothing at the mouth trying to spill the beans on this, but I promised Merle I wouldn't. And, because I'm more of a cryptid type of guy. But I mean, for all of you guys coming together like this and meeting on social media and doing something that you're all very passionate about, and this is the paranormal investigation is such a big part of each of one of your worlds. I mean, how cool is it, Merle? I'll get you to finish off here with about 90 seconds to be able to, we always hear about the egos. We always hear about the bad side of the paranormal, but to put all that aside, say, you know what? These guys are friends. We're getting along great. Let's all get together and do something fun together. I mean, to me, that's a success right there as much as the investigations.
I agree. There's zero ego. We all were basically, I would say 60% of the time we were laughing. And when we were filming, there would be like a 10 to 20 minute filming where there was no laughing. But right when we'd stop recording, we'd be laughing and joking again. And it's fun to be able to investigate with people like that. I would go ahead and say we're all pretty like-minded in the field. And it's hard because there's so many people in our field. I feel it's kind of hard to vibe that well with like 3 different entities, so to speak, all at once. And it was like we were old friends.
I think that's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, the way you guys came together and brought it all into one room and had some fun. I mean, the best part about it is you guys get to all say, we could do it again. We could do it again. And that's exactly the way it's going to go. Paranorthwest team, Amanda, Merle, I'm going to make you all wait right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. And when we return on Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man, Merle, we're going to get into some ghost stories, some communication. What did they learn about the house? Who were they communicating with? And what were the top stories of a great weekend of investigation in Spokane, Washington, right here on Ghosts of the Great White North? We'll be right back. All right, we're clear.
Cool, but we are live on YouTube.
I love when we're clear. I get to really let my hair down,
Do you guys have any treats left?
Dude, I ate the last of the big. What's the big bar or whatever the hell that was?
Mr. Big.
Dude, That is like, see, that's an Eric-sized snack. Okay, you're not opening something like this and being upset. They're like, "Do you want a big bar?" And you're like, "Yeah, here, let me just give this to you." It's a whole log of friendship.
Dave, and we even made poutine.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good even with the McDonald's fries. Okay.
Awesome.
What about you? You eat all your snacks?
We got a bag of Tim's left, and we just polished off the Butterfingers.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm surprised they made it that long. They would have been gone.
I gave Richie a couple bags. That was nice.
Yeah.
He was eyeing them up. I'm like, you can have some.
He's a pleaser. He deserves snacks.
He did. He's a good boy.
Are you doing okay without all your mochas, your 15 mochas a day?
No, I'm not. And
Yes.
I have spread the gospel of your coffee to anyone that talks about coffee with me, saying I can't do it. Can't.
It's because
I
I
have
give
a
a kiss to
coffee
each-
here, but it's not the same.
I kiss each bean before I grind them.
You do, and you can taste it.
Yeah, well, that's like Valentina leftover, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Dave likes treats.
Dave sends his address, Dave gets treats.
No, Dave's trying to lose weight right now.
Oh,
Oh, boo.
that's no fun.
No, I had to. Health wise, I had to.
Oh, well,
Yeah. So, it's funny because I'm a huge eater. Like I love food,
I get that.
and I am down right now to like I had a mentorship training at my daytime job today, and my mentor of like 10 years comes in. He goes, "Come on, I'm buying you lunch today. Great. Go to Subway." And usually like I am like a foot long and cookies and everything like that. I can only do a 6-inch now.
Hey,
Only a 6-inch sub. And I made 2 quesadillas for dinner tonight. I could only eat one. Like I don't like this portions bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, like I want to be able to pound a good, 12-ounce steak and a lobster and 16 pounds of garlic mashed potatoes with some asparagus on the side, right?
I can
Not
almost hear the Star Spangled Banner playing when you were telling me about that dinner right there.
America.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. I'm gonna give my audience crap here for a little bit in the YouTube chat. There is definitely a real lack of merling in the chat room.
Boy.
Oh, no.
Okay. There's been enough. I mean, we're a solid 5 out of 10 right now, but I mean, you got to pick up your game here, people. This is Merle.
Dude, if we were doing a drinking game of the word Merle, we'd all be done by now.
No, we wouldn't. No, because we hadn't started on the tequila yet.
I wonder what Grandpa Merle thinks of this.
There you go. Sugar britches.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah.
Maggie Mountain.
Oh man.
Magic Mountain.
Oh yeah, there we go.
The old white.
YJ Overlander, Kathy, Sovereign. Merle makes me want to hurl, though. That's all right.
Can they
Hate is
see?
gonna hate.
Sovereign, your bum burps make me want to hurl.
Oh my bum burps.
Yeah. He comes into my chat room all the time and is like, fart hard, guys. Fart hard.
I mean, I get that.
Yeah. Hey,
That's a man
I'm
of the
okay.
people.
I am okay with childish humor like that. I am okay with it. Stu Gerson's merling it up. There we go. Deb. Chris Mo in Austria. How you doing, buddy?
Oh.
Serpent. Jeff Steve Garvey. He'll hit a home run for you. TMI. Good to have you here, man. You'll notice we've changed Merle's name as we do every half an hour.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
I guess find out in a minute.
I can't wait.
All right. Thank you to Shelly and Deb for the super chats. Here we go with the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Ghosts of the Great White North coming at you with Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, hanging on out with us. And we got some good friends here from the Paranorthwest team out of Spokane, Washington. We have Eric, Shayla, and Cheyenne, and Amanda Paulson as well from Pretty Bleepin' Spooky on Instagram. Yeah. And TikTok. Can't forget your TikTok channel there. And recently they all got together, friends on the internet, coming together and doing some paranormal investigation. And Eric, you told us a little bit about your house right beforehand, how haunted it is. I mean, where do you, when these guys come in, where do you start the investigation? How did everything go?
Well, when we had Amanda come in, we didn't want her to, we weren't like, oh, go to the basement and tell me what you see. I was just like, hey, free reign, walk wherever you want and you feel whatever you want. And so she would walk into different rooms and kind of be like, oh, okay. And I'm like, is that good? Is that bad? What does that mean? What is she seeing? But she just kind of kept it to herself. She's just like, all right. It was like having your home inspected and you're like, do we need to fix this or what is this? Like, what do you see? And with the guys, I mean, it was like Merle's show. He planned this whole thing. He put everything together. So we were like, wherever you want to go, wherever you want to start, like you let us know. I mean, they were shooting a lot of footage for it. So we kind of were just there, which was kind of nice. Just being like, what do you want us to do? I'll hold something.
Oh, and Merle, how did it go? I mean, what did you start off with?
It went well. Obviously, it was fun. A couple months before we actually arrived, our friend Melissa Becker, she lives in Everett. She had been doing some research on Eric and Shayla's house, kind of doing a background of. That's how we found out it was actually built in 1898 versus 1905. She literally found every person that lived in there from the beginning to about, she went to about the 70s, right? In that booklet. And the surrounding area of all the indigenous actions and history that happened around there too. And the goal that I wanted to achieve was, because if you listen to their early episodes called Monster House, they investigate their house, which is what I'm like, that's what made me want to really investigate their house. And what I was trying to do, each little investigation that I wrote out, I wanted to try and talk to a person that lived there or died there. There's approximately, 5 people that died in the house? 3 within 2 years, which is kind of weird. So each experiment that I wrote out was designed to try to attempt communication with these different people. Like earlier, Amanda was talking about tea time. Lulu Ragg was the first lady to live there. With George Ragg, he built the house in 1898. She was the founder of something called the Wednesday Club, where the ladies of Spokane would get together, sing songs, religious, probably tell gossip, drink tea, and eat cookies, whatever women did back then. And so what we did was Melissa actually provided one of her, was it a poem that she wrote? Yeah, it was a poem.
Mm-hmm.
And Cheyenne read the poem as kind of like a trigger object to see if Lulu would come chat with us. And we were also asking EVP questions during this. We had an array of gear on the table, like sensors. And like Amanda said earlier, you could feel the energy shift. I think it was right around the time Cheyenne was saying the poem or after the poem was when the energy kind of shifted. And we were getting hits on all of the gear with our questions. It was really, really neat to watch. Shan, do you remember that part?
Yeah, I do. I feel like it was after when
Yeah.
everything started kind of going off, because I remember Shayla and Amanda, they were both talking about how they were having stomach aches. And I'm like, this is weird. I wasn't experiencing that. I was the only one out of all three of us not experiencing that. But there was definitely a shift in energy, and I'm honestly unsure if we were talking to Lulu Ray or not, though. I don't know who we were talking to.
And another experiment that we tried, which I found really neat, was the one Eric did up in the master bedroom. A man who passed away in the house was a corpsman for the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
And we had a military uniform, and we put it on the bed. And that's when Eric was in the military, and he was doing an EVP session with some proximity sensors too. And he was getting some really good yes or no responses or responses to your questions, which I found quite neat.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like you said, we were trying to target a certain person, but they ended up not really showing up. And so we went with who we were talking with, who we believe was Mr. Houston, who had stayed here during the time that the railroad either owned or something with the house, some sort of tie between the railroad and the house. And the questions, we started off with the normal, like, do you need help? Are you happy? All this. But then I started asking questions that I've never asked before, just things that I personally wanted to know about, like the spirit world, because it was going, we had a flux sensor by the closet, and then probably 10 feet away, we had the lantern that lit up with the EMF fields. And it was kind of going between the two, like one would light up, then the second one. And it seemed like it was going back and forth.
Like someone was pacing.
Yeah. And so I asked it, I was like, because I want to know, I was like, do you walk like you did in normal life? And nothing on the sensors. And then we had established that they needed to raise it to the color green for a yes, and nothing for no. So nothing came up for that. And I said, do you float? Like, is that how you traverse this earth or wherever you're at? And nothing. And then I asked, do you just appear where you want to, when you want to? And it just went straight to green and held green. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, that's so cool. And me and Richie were just like ecstatic about it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Shayla, let's bring you in here for a second, because you being familiar with all the spirits that are going on, did you notice anything different within the activity of your own home?
I mean, it was a little bit different. I really, really wish Amanda was there with us for the last night that we investigated, because
100%.
it was so
Yeah.
hot. And it was so intense. For example, the energy was so different when we went to the basement and we were targeting specific spirits down there, because it was a little bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but assertive, like very assertive and like strict. And that was new. That was something we haven't experienced.
You actually called off the experiment early. We stopped it.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what was going on?
Well, tensions ran a little high there for a minute. Eric.
What? I'm not saying anything. I'm letting you go ahead.
He was really, really pushing for an experiment with a mirror. And I was a little bit hesitant, just because things were getting like so hot. And I was like, I don't want anything to get escalated or bring something new in that is basically going to stay here and be a negative in the space. Because I'm very cautious about, like cleansing the space and keeping it, free of negative energies. And, we talk to the spirits all the time. So I get nervous.
Did you feel anything new when we were there with any of the techniques?
I will say that the basement that we did on the last night and the North Head technique that we did, I don't know why it was different, but it felt different. We got a lot of information.
Eric, can you explain what the North Head technique? Now, that's something I wish Amanda was a part of, was when we did that. So when we come back, she'll be part of that one.
You want me to explain it?
Yes. What was your experiences with it?
So what I gathered was it's basically, and I know this is like a hot button word in the paranormal and, all of those realms, it's like a seance while someone's doing the Estes method. So I only use the word like seances because you're kind of using everyone's energy to kind of heighten the person that's under and to make them more aware of what's going on and things like that. It's not like we weren't like doing woo-woo stuff, and contacting like, I mean, I feel like the word seance has like such a negative connotation to it because of like media and books and all that and, religious things. But I mean, that's what it was. It was everyone was like holding hands and Merle and Shayla both went under and did the Estes method, and that felt different than a normal Estes method by far.
And during that, Dave, and during that, Richie, he was filming us. He had something pull his hair, like straight up pull his hair while he was filming.
In a good way, maybe a little teasing, or
he moaned, so I think he liked it.
Well,
okay.
Classic Richie.
That was when Mike was under, and as soon as he got his hair pulled, Mike said, "Gotcha."
Yeah.
And that was eerie.
There were a couple moments during the North Head technique where I thought Mike could hear me because I was asking questions and he would turn and answer. And I was like, yo, Mike, if you can hear me, like, you got to say something. And he just kept staring. And I was like, and then he would also ask questions to us and be like, hey, is Richie over to my left? And I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to tell you yes? So I was like, I guess one pinch for yes. And I was like pinching his hand and he didn't say nothing. And I was like, do you understand what I'm saying? But it was very interesting because I feel like whenever I'm under the Estes, I have no idea at all what's around me or what's going on. And Mike was like, he was sensing things that we didn't see though, because he was like, it feels like someone's face is right next to mine. And I'm looking, I'm like, there's no one there.
Just like Amanda does though. Like
I know.
That's how she, you're onto something with
I don't
that.
need ghost breath all over my face, That's not what I'm trying to
It felt like ghost breath, like hot breath right in your ear.
Yeah, you're like, hey man, stop messing with me. I'm trying to do something.
I find, because I know, Amanda, you do the Estes often and you do the L method. Do you find you feel spirits come up to you more when you're in heightened senses? Like, can you feel things around you?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this a lot with the rise in popularity of the Estes method or just sensory deprivation techniques in general, and how it's definitely heightening our senses. I feel like especially so the like being blindfolded. I think taking away sight does a lot, and then of course running any kind of white, brown noise, whatever through your ears is another level to it. But for some reason, blindfolding yourself and taking away your sight really like opens, I guess, quote, opens the third eye. I don't really use that kind of verbiage normally, but like it must be doing something. It feels, like like we're onto something, you know?
It totally
And-
makes me feel more vulnerable.
And when you say you're onto something, what does that mean?
I would say getting, God, I don't know. What do I mean? Getting closer to, I don't know, like actual successful ways of communicating with the other side, onto something as in like kind of starting to understand ways in which we should be communicating with the other side versus, you know, the traditional methods we've been using for years of, you know, do the beep boop thing and like light this up and kind of make a monkey dance sort of technique. As we veer towards this like more psychological approach to the paranormal, I do think that we are onto something as far as finding like actual, I don't know, successful ways of communication. Like it feels like we're getting more important responses or more poignant, I don't know, responses. Back me up, guys. Do you think?
No,
do you think so?
I totally agree with what you're saying, because like if we go back to talking about the North Head technique, where I was asking questions or feeling what I thought was a Richie right beside me, my senses are so heightened. You're it feels like you're basically in a dark room trying to find your way around. So I don't know if I would have felt the same or had the same experiences if I just had my eyes open with the headphones on.
I think it's exactly why, you know, people ask ghost hunters why you have to ghost hunt at night. And people love to use the argument, you know, aren't there ghosts in the day? Why wouldn't they be there in the day? But we say, you know, we ghost hunt at night because there's less noise. Our senses are heightened. And it's just like taking that a step forward with these sensory deprivation or isolation techniques.
It totally brings out your primal senses, like heightened. Oh, someone had something.
So I think like talking about this is kind of making me think that I think we as people rely on our sight and what we see to say, well, that does or doesn't exist. So I think by taking that away and hearing things and feeling things, we trust our senses more, because we can't just automatically say, well, I felt something touch me, but I didn't see anything, so there's nothing there. It kind of takes that away, and you're like, well, no, something within me told me that I was touched, and so that's a fact to me now. I think that's another reason that it kind of works that way.
Interesting. So how were the spirits reacting? Were there any more spirits, Cheyenne, that were acting a little bit more openly than many others? Any step up to the plate?
I feel like that specific stern spirit that we were talking to in the basement was really stepping up to the plate. I feel like that could have been the same spirit I was talking to during the Gansfield that I did in the attic. And something that like especially stood out to me during my Gansfield was this like serious racial divide that they had in the home when whoever I was speaking to was living there. That's the same kind of energy I was receiving when we were downstairs. So I guess that I would say was the spirit that was stepping it up to the plate.
And in regards to the sensory deprivation that all of you kind of put yourself through, going through an experiment like that during an investigation, Amanda, what does that feel like for those who've never done it?
What does sensory deprivation feel like in an investigation?
Yes.
Well, I can only speak from personal experience. I know it's a little bit different for everyone. Different people have tried the Estes method in particular. You know, some people hear more, some people visually see more, some people feel more. For me, entering any kind of like sensory deprivation, I guess I'll just go through what I feel exactly, but I tend to feel, maybe this will resonate with you guys, but I tend to feel a little bit of a fuzzy feeling in my body. I would say similar to entering deep meditation, and that can't happen like immediately, but it does happen, fairly quickly. I'd say the more that you do it. And if nobody listening has done any deep meditation, it's just kind of like kind of the feeling before you fall asleep, like when you accidentally shake awake, that fuzzy feeling of kind of really deeply relaxing. And then I personally often feel like I feel like you can kind of start to sense things. The ghost breath is really common. I feel like a lot of people feel that. And for me, it's just a lot of different energies coming in at once, and almost like you have to sort through it, because in a way I feel like we're putting out a beacon sort of for anything that is around us normally to come and communicate. So then you kind of feel a lot coming forward, and I don't even know how to articulate that, but just it does really feel like somebody is coming right up to you, even though you're blindfolded, you can't see them. And then you kind of just start to zone out entirely and start listening to the spirit box, trying to pick out some words and things in there. But a really good Estes method, or a really good, like any of these experiments that we're talking about, a really good one is when you fall really deep into that trance state, and are really kind of unaware of what is going on other than the using all of your senses, but like the reality of the situation kind of loses you. You sort of, I know a lot of people say it feels like people leave the room, like you're worried that people have left and you're just there alone because you're just kind of in this little weird paranormal egg. But hopefully I told that well enough. I feel like it really is different for everyone, but those are the most common feelings felt in something like the Estes method.
How about for you, Merle?
I used to be petrified by the Estes, to be honest. I'd always pressure other people to do it, and I would film it. To be honest, it's only the past year have I really been embracing it and trying it. It's petrifying to do it, because I'm a person, I really like to control my surroundings, and I feel out of control when I'm in the Estes method, and I feel extremely vulnerable. And like doing the North Head technique with like the modern take on a seance, you put all your trust into the people you're doing that with to ask the questions and be there for you. Because I found doing the North Head technique, maybe Shayla, you can chime in on this too, because you did it as well. I think that's like the ultimate experience of the Estes, because of the energy, like the amount of words that were coming out, and the sensations of people around me. Feeling people around you, like right beside your face, when you have that blindfold on, is pretty surreal.
Yeah.
Got 1 minute here before we got to go to break, and normally I take questions an hour or two, but brand new listener Dees, I believe from Israel, is asking. I believe this might be our first chatter from Israel, so I'm pretty excited about it. He's asking, do you face a stigma for believing in ghosts? Eric, let's start with you on that one.
I think everyone always has the same kind of thing, because people ask me on a Friday at work, especially, they'll say, "Hey, what are you getting up to this weekend?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go look for Bigfoot." And people are like, "Ah, man, that's hilarious." And they're like, "What are you really doing?" I'm like, "No, I'm about to drive about an hour and a half north into the woods, and I'm going to look for Bigfoot for a good 3-4 hours. And like, that's my night tonight." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, that's cool." I'm like, "You don't have to think it's cool. Like, I love this." And then it's funny, because the more you talk about it, especially the people that say that they don't believe things, the longer they're around you, they're like, "I saw this thing when I was like 8." And I'm like, "Aha, so you have seen something."
We'll get the rest of you to answer this question when we return on Spaced Out Radio, Hour 2 of Ghosts of the Great White North, with our main man Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, team from Paranorthwest in Spokane, Washington, and Amanda Paulson. When we return, your questions, maybe a Skinwalker story. God, I'm pumped up for that story, man. Oh, I'm pumped up for that one.
That was so weird. When we were talking, my light dimmed. I don't know if anyone caught that, but my light like totally dimmed.
I'll be right back.
Oh damn! I did not see
really,
that.
It was really weird. That's why I started looking up.
While we were talking, it like occurred to me that you guys are in your house right now.
Yeah, I'm in.
Like-
yeah, I'm in my apartment right now.
Well, I just like I was like in my brain imagining us walking through. I'm like pointing to you, but you can't see that I'm pointing you up there. Your house.
Oh, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know if anyone's in my room right. This is crazy. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
If anyone is in her room right now, will you blink the lights twice?
Oh my god.
Touch your shoulder.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I kept forgetting you guys are literally in the house we're talking about. Like where I was like imagining it in my head, and then I looked over at your guys' square and I was like, oh yeah, they're literally in that room right now. It was weird.
Yeah.
Forgot. You're talking about
Shayla.
the ghosts and they're there with you probably.
Shayla,
know.
who's the man in the top hat behind you?
Yeah.
You know what? Did I tell you this, Mike?
It's him.
Yeah. After you guys left, our grandfather clock that hasn't worked in about 4 years has been going off since.
Dude, yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
And yeah, Eric came home and he was like, "That's weird. That's going off." And I said, "Yeah, it's been going off all day because I came home early from work." And I was like, "That's weird."
And guess what time it was set to? 6:66 o'clock.
He lies.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I thought that was so funny. I was like, I wonder what that's about.
I watched the North Head Technique video. It does. So I keep going like this toward, I guess it would be towards Eric, like turning my head.
Yeah.
But it's because I think I'm trying to listen to whatever's coming through the headphones. Because I remember when I used to play the drums, when I'd be listening to the clicker or like to the other instruments, I'd always turn my head that way with my headphones on. And I'm like, muscle memory, perhaps.
Interesting.
Well, your timing was impeccable because it was every time I asked a question.
And that happens like when we did the North Head at Cape Disappointment, it was just like that. It's weird. The questions, because we had the tripwire on the table and it was going off too, as per the video. It was pretty cool.
Oh my gosh.
God.
Good luck.
Shine.
Check out the bottom right.
Yeah, I know. That's me right now.
Yeah.
They're messing with my lights, you guys. I'm gonna cry. Not cry, but I'm gonna yell if this goes off during all of this.
That'd be good
I'm
drama.
like, please, come on.
You just
Oh,
yell.
I'm about to start buying broken electronics and just have Merle walk around for a little bit, Merle and Amanda, and then they'll be fixed after a while.
We got you.
I should have brought my Game Boy out because that thing hasn't worked since like '98.
Leave it on your table. When we come back, we'll take a look. We'll frisk it all, and it'll be working in no time.
Dude, is there a way that we could do like almost like a spiritual like etch-a-sketch and like leave a piece of equipment out that they could draw on?
Dude, don't say that out loud. People are gonna hear it and steal it.
I know, right? Yeah, save your best ideas. We're like, no, but that kind of reminds me of that old. Do you guys remember the old like flower method? Like
Yes.
flower on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to that?
I know.
Why aren't we doing that anymore?
We should do like a zero electronics investigation with like all the very
Keep your best ideas.
Are these good? I'm just talking.
You got too many good ideas, your big brain.
All right, I'm gonna write these down then. If anyone heard any of those,
No, you did.
they're trademarked and I will sue.
Look at this light.
You're not suing. Go answer your door. There's someone there that wants to talk to you. I don't have any more ideas, just in case anyone's wondering. I'm
done.
I'm done with ideas.
Merle, I got a new axe.
You
Is
did?
it that Dean behind you?
It is.
I saw that. Yeah, nothing like a flying V to really set the tone. Okay. Someone pulls that out, you're getting some wailing, all right? You might get some tapping involved too.
I went to the local pawn shop to get my kids' skates sharpened, and it's a pawn shop sports store. And as the skates are getting sharpened, I saw the guitar, and I'm like, $100. He's like, take it.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
No. Flying V's are so badass.
Do they have a Gretsch?
No, because they're ugly old man's guitars.
Whoa, hey.
That's like my favorite guitar.
Yeah, throw a Bigsby tremolo on there and we're talking.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. If you want to play 50s music, sure.
I do.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, you two are old. Big thank you tonight to Shelly, Deb, Eric, Jake, Kira, and Dis for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciate it. You can also do some shopping at spacedoutradio.com at our store. We got hour number 2 coming up right after this, so stay tuned. Here we go in 2 seconds.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ultimo. Ultimo is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight talking everything ghostly with Ghosts of the Great White North. Our main man, Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers, is here tonight, and we are joined by his good friends out of Spokane, Washington, Paranorthwest team of Eric, Shayla, and Cheyenne, and as well as paranormal investigator Amanda Paulson. And right before the break, one of our new listeners, D's D's, asked a question. Do you face a stigma for believing in the paranormal and investigating it? Amanda, let's start with you on this one. I mean, how do you feel when you tell people you're a paranormal investigator?
It's interesting. I'm glad Eric said it, but a lot of the time you'll find that people will warm up to the idea of talking about these things. And aren't as, it's not as stigmatized as we think it is once you give people like a safe, comfortable space to talk about it. And by expressing that I'm actively doing it, it creates that space for people. So, but I do still experience some stigma, especially I grew up very religious in a Baptist household, so like from family, but my entire professional life, my job, I do work at City Hall, like I do a ton of very professional things, and they all know about my ghost hunting and they are cool with it. So maybe I'm lucky, or maybe people are just easing up to the idea, but there's not as much stigma as you would think.
How about for you, Merle?
I think Canada is a little more conservative than the United States with the ghost hunting. People still poo-poo it a lot up here. I get chirped at work a little bit about it. Like I spent 10 minutes of my shift actually last week explaining to my coworker that I have a YouTube channel, that I do Spaced Out Radio, that I ghost hunt. He couldn't process it. And yeah, but like Eric said, everyone will always say, but there was this one time I can't explain this happened. So even if they hate on it, they all have a story. So they've all experienced. So they just need to believe. Well,
let's move on here because, and thank you for that question. let's move on here, because not only was this about ghost hunting, but you also went on a reservation and had something major happen here, and something that shouldn't happen, but yet there it was. Merle, I'm going to get you to take us through what happened.
I was gonna like Eric to do this, but
Okay, if you want Eric to do it, we can get Eric to do it.
I do. I want them to tell the story. This is good.
Okay, I think I'll start it, but I think Cheyenne and Shayla should do most of it. But so we loaded everyone up in my truck, all 5 of us, and it was cramped. And we drove like an hour 15 north onto the Spokane Reservation, which is in Wellpinnet, Washington. And we've always found something there, but it's usually not the same thing. And so we took them to what our normal hotspot is, and it was really quiet.
Yep.
Normally we get a lot of activity on this certain road, and there was really nothing. I mean, we do a mobile Estes method and mobile spirit box sessions, because when you're covering, 400 square miles or whatever it is, I mean, you can't just stay in one spot the whole night. So we started doing that and picking up on different things. And we went to this spot where Cheyenne had seen something before, just to see if maybe we'd pick something up over there. And Shy, do you want to tell them like what you saw originally and why we go to that spot?
Yeah, so I totally forgot about this story the last time I was on Spaced Out Radio. But I went to this specific spot which overlooks the lake, and there's mountains around and the moon. It's a beautiful spot. And we were just sitting in our car. It was me and a friend. And I just happened to look over towards the left on the mountains. And I'm seeing this, what I thought it was like a person. And I'm thinking, okay, it's like pretty late. It's probably 11 p.m. Why is someone climbing the mountain right now? And it was like right before my eyes, I could see it in a way shift into a bull. Like, I don't know if it was like a bull elk or something. It was a bull. And I remember it turned its head back towards us, and it had red glowing eyes. My friend was like, "We're leaving." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, I need to go back now, and I need to find out what this is." At this point, I mean, I wasn't a paranormal investigator at all. I was, heavily still involved into the phenomena, but nothing like I'm doing now. So we always go back there to maybe find out what that is. And I don't know if we got that, the taste of it just this last time when we brought Merle and the Paranormal Road Trippers. But yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, so you saw something very strange, and how does this tie into what happened here?
So it was actually in the same exact spot where she had seen that. We took them up there, and it was actually like a really, really bright night out. Venus and Jupiter were aligned in the sky and super bright out to the west. And we got out, and as soon as we got out, everyone just kind of stretches their legs and just takes a look around. And like she said, it's a really gorgeous part of the reservation. And Richie was looking on, there was like a finger across from us. So like a little valley and then a finger. And he was like, "Hey, there's something moving over there," which, I mean, we're in Washington, there's plenty of things out in the woods. And so he grabs his flashlight and he starts shining it over there. And he was like, "This thing's kind of weird looking." And so Merle and I hopped out and grabbed our flashlights, and he grabbed his camera. I think he was trying to film it, but it was too far away. But what?
Yeah, no, he kept saying, he's like, "I don't know if there's like one or two, like if it's like elk or deer." He's like, "It's all brown and I see like eyes."
Yeah. And so I walked over there and I shined my flashlight on it, and I could see it too. And it was actually brown and white. So I had like brown painting and then white painting on the side. And at first I was like, it's got to be a horse, but it was cold out. And
It's freezing.
yeah, the thing was walking towards the river, which is an odd behavior for a lone horse in the middle of the night to be walking towards the river when it's that cold. So we kept our eyes on it. And as I was watching it, the back legs and like shoulders, I guess, in the back were moving independently, unlike when a horse walks or goes down a hill. It usually will lock up its back legs and kind of hop down. But this thing was moving like each appendage was moving, independently, like a kind of like a cougar would walk.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
But it was about the size of a horse, and it kept looking back, and as its eyes were shining green in the flashlight, which is an odd color for equine type animals for their eyes to shine. So we jumped in the truck and drove, I don't know, maybe like 30 yards to the side of the road, and we're going to find out what it was or where it was going or see if we can find any tracks. And luckily, Merle jumped out with us, and so it was me, Richie, and Merle. And as we came over this crest, it had snowed probably like a couple days before, and so you could see tracks, but then you could see the fresh tracks of whatever this was, and they almost started to morph into something, and you could see it in the snow. There was an obvious front hoof, and then behind it, though, was where it gets weird. There was like almost a human heel indentation. So I don't know if you've seen a horse track before, but they look all the same. It's like that, like half oval, and then it usually cuts off at the end. But this was that, and it led into what looked like the indentation of a human heel. And they were so perfectly in line that it was like, this has to be what we just saw. And they were the freshest tracks out there by far, because you could see the other ones had kind of iced over and whatnot, but this one was freshly moved snow, and we could follow it down where we were seeing it walk. And by our estimation, I mean, its back had to have been what, Merle, like 5.5 feet tall, 6 feet tall?
Yeah, that would be accurate. And what was weird about it, as well as the gait of the tracks, was not the gait of a horse.
Yeah.
It was a lot closer. And when we first spotted it, I saw what looked like the horse, then I saw kind of the narrow, smaller back end of it, but it also had a curved tail, like a husky or like an Akita. And horses' tails don't curve like
Yeah,
that.
because you said it like curled up, right?
Yeah,
yeah. And so we continued following the tracks, and Merle was smart and stayed up, and I was, I don't know, maybe 10 feet down from him, and then Richie was 10 feet down from me. And we noticed that another thing that was weird about the tracks is it didn't follow a path. It kind of would come up to something and back up, and then go around and back up, which if it was a horse, it could have just walked right through, and there was obvious trails to take. And Richie was saying that he thought it was trying to like duck.
Yeah, it was kind of dodgy.
Yeah, it was like dodging the light, like trying to find a different way to walk that wouldn't be directly in the beam of the flashlight. So that was very strange. And Merle, tell them what you heard.
So while I was kind of filming Eric, I couldn't see Richie because he was about 20 feet up. I heard I called it a tone because I didn't want to say whistle while we were out there. I just kept saying a tone. And Shine can tell us what the whistle means in a second. But I heard it once, and I said, I think I chimed over to Eric. I'm like, dude, I heard a tone. He's like, what kind of tone? And I'm like, just a tone. kind of like how you would call a horse over.
Yeah.
And then I heard it again, and then that's when I'm like, we gotta bounce. It's time to go, because the energy kind of shifted. Now, Cheyenne, what does it mean when you hear whistling on a reservation, especially that one?
I mean, the one time we've heard it out there, what we classify as the Stick Indians, which are mischievous and malevolent little beings that are cannibalistic. So they will take you and basically like tie you down and they will eat you. So I don't know if that could have been it. I don't know. Being, Native American, we're not allowed to whistle at night because it might invoke, bad spirits. It can invoke Hoof Woman, which she's known to take you and keep you. So it could have been a number of things, but I'm kind of putting my money on the Stick Indians.
I've never heard of the Stick Indians before.
You've never heard of them?
No. I've heard of little people,
They're
but
different.
never the Stick Indians.
Yeah, so they are different. They live more out in the woods. They will mimic human sounds, especially more of like a party, because they want you the person to go where they're at so they can basically take you. They will also, so they're known for whistling. They'll spit on you. They'll also known for like cutting you. So one of the last couple times we went out to the reservation, the time that we heard the whistling, I actually came back and the next day I had a little cut on my ankle, which freaked me out. I was freaked out. I was like, oh no, not me. Not me.
So then we went back into the truck, and Shayla, what happened?
Well, while they were gone, I told Cheyenne, I said, if they don't come back within like 30 minutes, I'm out. We're driving. We're driving.
She's gonna leave us.
But no, so we were sitting there and Cheyenne and I were just sitting in the back of the truck in the back seat, and it sounded like someone had tapped on the window to my left, and Cheyenne heard it, and I was like, oh boy, I don't know. I feel like something's like around or like circling the truck. Like it started feeling really weird. And just about that time they came back. So, but something
surrounding you guys.
I truly felt like something was
weird.
Yeah, there was something like lurking. And even Richie said that when he was doing an Estes out there. He's like, I feel like something's like trailing behind the truck, like following.
Yeah.
And it did feel like that.
Now, was this the first time that any of you had experienced this?
Yes.
To see that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen something like that. I always tell people that I'm the skeptic of the group because I think it's healthy to have someone that's like, it could be something else. Let's not just like jump off the deep end. But I remember standing there and wishing I had more light because I was like, I cannot tell you what this thing is. I mean, the way it moved, the size of it, I was like, and I was hoping, cresting over that little hill, I was hoping I was just going to find normal hoof tracks. And I was like, cool, it's a horse. Done deal. We can pack up now. But,
And we go out there all the time. Like Cheyenne and I grew up going out there, and never once have I seen anyone even own horses out there.
Yeah.
And this is also weird. I just want to put this out there. About 2 days after that happened, me and my significant other, we decided to go out there because I was like, I want to go back. I want to know what's going on. So, we hit our normal spots, nothing. But right before we were about to hit the same spot where we saw that, he had to slam on his brakes because he saw a brown horse cross our path. And I thought, oh my God, I need to catch this on film. I didn't get it on film, but I mean, he's often in the woods a lot. And he was like, that's really weird for it to be alone. They don't travel alone.
Yeah.
Even when they're wild, So I didn't know if that was, I don't know what that was. It was just weird.
Now, you guys aren't there for cryptids. You guys aren't there for anything out of the you're there for something out of the ordinary, but you're looking at and thinking things on a paranormal scale. I mean, this is very reminiscent to in 2018 when Merle, myself, and our buddy Mark got chased out of a forest by a couple of Sasquatch. And that, it took me about 8 months to realize that the talking that we heard directed at Merle and I was the exact same tone as what was recorded in 1976 for the famous Sierra Sounds in California. And here we are in middle of the British Columbia. And it's absolutely trippy that there is a lot of similarities between these two interactions, completely different states, different areas, different pieces of land. You're on reserve land, which is usually very holy type land for the First Nations, compared to where we were in the middle of a Canadian forest. I mean, it's still very similar, Merle.
It is, because you know me, Dave. I'm very conservative with how my experience is with cryptids, because I don't talk about it much. I still am worried to talk about the woo-woo stuff, just because it's still new to me. But it's not woo-woo, man. There, I said it. I experienced it with the Para Northwest, and I experienced it with you. I went on to the reserve with them, thinking we'd have fun, we'd be laughing as per usual of our time together. I did not for 1 second think that I would see what we saw and be like, okay, that's what we saw, because it was so, can't use that word, effed up on your experiencing that. I can't. I want to experience it again, but I also have great fear because I don't know what it was, especially the whistling. I'm far enough away from the Spokane Reserve. I can see myself now. That's kind of what I wanted to experience. I did, but I didn't, just because of the stories that Eric, Shayla, and Cheyenne have talked about with the whistling and the whole folklore around that. I wanted to study that more. But I think what we studied more was either a skinwalker or the old W, as you call it, Wendigo. And that made me a believer, seeing that, because I'm very matter of fact with my opinions on that stuff. And I couldn't, there's no way around what I saw and what we experienced, especially when we did the Estes. That's another thing. Earlier, you said, what did we learn from each other? The mobile Estes method, that's the cat's butt right there. That is awesome.
See?
But I went under and did the Estes. And Shayla, what came out?
What came out?
What
Me?
words
Do you
did I
want me to-
say?
Okay. Do you want me to say it? If you don't mind?
Yeah.
2 specific words he said, and it's funny. So the first word was ustum, which when it's spelled out, that's exactly how it sounds. But in Ojibwe, which is our tribe, me and Shayla's, it's ushtum, which means come here. And then another word that followed right after that was sakai, and another meaning for the Ojibwe people was to burn. And it just kept saying that, Ashtam Sakai, Ashtam Sakai. Yeah, we didn't know. I mean, Shayla, how did you feel hearing that?
It was weird because as he was under, and now given this was right about the time that we were seeing this thing.
Shayla, I hate to do it. I'm going to cut you off right there because we do got to go to break, but we're going to pick up this story and get audience questions when we return. Cryptids in the heart of Spokane, Washington. Merle and the Paranormal Road Trippers, the team from Para Northwest, Amanda Paulson, all joining us on Ghosts of the Great White North. We are loving it tonight. More monster talk when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. All right, we're clear.
Somebody in the comments is asking, does the girl in the bottom speak?
Hey, Mennonite Abe, how you doing? Oh, yeah, Amanda speaks.
That was crazy. Like I still feel weird talking about it.
Yeah, it is very
If you're
weird.
scared,
Yeah.
come here and stay with us again.
No, we'll see you soon.
I want
We
to
should-
go. I want to go out there. I want to go to Willpinit with you guys.
You know what? Next time you gotta come.
Yeah.
It's
Like anytime, like any day. This weekend,
Yeah,
anytime.
we
I'm
could.
so
this-
jealous.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're ready.
that video that I posted on TikTok was with all of like the wolves howling. That was that same night we saw the horse. I mean, we did like a number of things. We did like baby crying, trying to like get something from there. My boyfriend has an elk horn, so we honked his horn on his car, and it was, you know, elk sounds, and just we tried to just get something going. I mean, he's a little scared sometimes. I'm the grounder of it all, but it was crazy.
Okay, but you make him
Yeah.
do stuff.
He does though. He's very supportive in my like paranormal adventures.
Yeah, that's why he gets kind of scared, because you went from like whoever before, and then you're like, hey, I need
Want
you
to do
to
some wood knocks?
scream. Yeah, you need to scream like a baby really quick. I just want to see something. Like, obviously he's gonna be like, okay.
Dave, let's hear show them the chatter. You do it good. The ninja talk, what we heard.
Oh yeah.
That does sound like
Really?
it.
That's weird.
What we-
Yeah. So the funny part about it is we weren't even thinking cryptids at that point, and that one, after we heard it talk twice, our buddy Mark did not hear it. He was about 30 yards away from us, and we went back to the original plane crash location, and Mark goes into this cul-de-sac, which was a recovery area. I'm kind of on this knoll in between Mark and Merle's behind me about 25, 30 feet at this piece of landing gear. And this thing moved within 15 feet of Merle and was huffing and puffing at him and shaking branches and stomping feet and grunting. I found the trail where this thing snuck in.
Oh,
And it was funny because when we went back there and found the trail that snuck where this guy snuck in behind Merle, there was this weird triangle on the, not an actual triangle, but like a triangle of trees. It was like a circular triangle, as weird as that may sound. Okay, kind of rounded area. And when I stepped in there and my buddy Mark stepped in there, my other buddy Mike stepped in there, we all felt like ill, like instantaneously ill. And Mark was dry heaving. Mike was like, I got to get out of here. And I'm just like, my head was like, boom, boom, boom.
God.
Right. And so we ended up putting a gifting site up there. Never really got any action whatsoever. The first week we had a coin go missing, an old 1960s nickel go missing and replaced with a 2019 nickel.
oh,
So that was kind of cool. And then I had one of those dollar store basketballs and went back a couple weeks later, and the basketball had moved and it looked like fingerprints on it. And stupid me, being an idiot of an investigator, because I'm not an investigator, it was cold out and I didn't have gloves on. And I'm trying to set my phone with my left hand, and I'm holding the ball with my right hand, and my hand started shaking from the cold. And I brought my phone and the ball up to my jacket, and it wiped the fingerprints off.
Oh.
But I did get the photos. I
Okay.
did get the photos, but it was real oily. And if you talk to anybody who's dealt with Sasquatch, they will tell you like the fingerprints that they seem, the residue that they leave behind is like really oily.
greasy.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So that was a little interesting. Bear with me here. I want to say thank you to Shelby, Deb, Eric, Jake, Kira, Dis, and Pam S. for the awesome super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support. And another way to support us, go shopping at our store, spacedoutradio.com. We'd appreciate seeing you in our gear. Here we go. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight, we got Merle here from Ghosts of the Great White North and our good friends from Spokane, Washington, Paranorthwest, Eric, Shayla, and Cheyenne, along with Amanda Paulson. Eric has just a massive, massive Dennis Marouk power stash. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You know, you got to go back to like early 1980s hockey to see a mustache like that. It's a beautiful thing, honestly. But nonetheless, right before the break, we were talking about this strange encounter with a cryptid that may have been a skinwalker on reservation land just outside of Spokane, Washington. Now, is it safe to say that all four of you who saw this pretty creeped out still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
Shayla,
filmed it. Have it all.
when do we get to see the film, Merle?
We have to ask Jake that question. Probably I'm gonna hopefully have it up end of March, early April. That's the goal. Because it was shot in one take. It was basically filmed like a found footage. I was just having fun filming us driving out to the reserve, and it was kind of neat. Captured it all, so it'll be like a one take, minimal editing, so it shouldn't be too hard.
Well, I look forward to seeing it because I was hoping you were going to show it tonight. I'm not going to lie. I was hoping. I had my fingers crossed. You kind of teased me that way, and I kind of want to drop an elbow on you. I mean, it is the Iron Sheik's birthday, so out of respect for the Sheik, the greatest wrestling champion ever, you know, I really, really want to put you in a camel clutch for not bringing it now.
Yeah, that's okay. You can do. I'll allow it. I'll go Sergeant Slaughter on you if we're talking that era.
No, not even competition. Not even competition, Corporal Kirshner. But nonetheless, you know, let's get back to this. Shayla, I'd cut you off right before the break because we had to go to commercial. But, I mean, you were saying in regards to this creature, the high strangeness of it. Please continue.
Yeah, I just feel like we were dealing with a trickster, like for sure. But something I want to share with all of you that I just found out. I have a coworker that I work with who grew up on that reservation. And I asked her, have you had any weird experiences out there as a kid? And she said, oh yeah, I can tell you a lot of things. And then she said, yeah, my parents growing up, they would always get ran out of the forest by what they called the hoof man.
Wow.
That looked like very similar to like a elk or something of that size, and it would stand on its hind legs and run after you.
Oh my.
And I was like, what? I've never heard of that. And she was like, oh yeah. So I don't know if it was something like that or if it was like a shapeshifter. I don't know. It was something different.
You guys need to go find the hoof man this weekend.
Exactly.
Oh,
Find him. We're not coming back. Okay.
I'll come get you.
Yeah.
Oh,
My savior, Merle.
got you.
But yeah, she was telling me some crazy things too about like they have a shadow man out there, and he is a very large, like pure black, about 8 to 9 feet tall, and he will like dip and dodge in between the trees.
Oh my.
Mm,
I've heard of.
really?
These
Yeah.
settlements, I've heard of that happening, and I've seen that in Mission, British Columbia. I've seen these shadow type beings hiding behind trees and peering in and out.
Yeah.
And I remember on this one occasion, there was a split tree, like a nurse type tree that split, and we were watching literally what looked like a teenager's head, kind of going in between, looking at us. And it was so weird. I ended up getting a little, freaked out because it just wasn't feeling good. I met my friend's wife on the road, right outside of the trees, and all of a sudden we watched this shadow man that was hiding behind a street sign morph into a bear and start walking towards us. Yeah,
Oh,
it was nuts, and we screamed. We were like, bear, bear, and everybody comes running out of the forest, and they're like, where? We point to the sign. It's gone. And it was a big black bear, but it wasn't a bear. It was a shadow.
Oh, that's spooky.
Very spooky. The idea behind seeing a cryptid is it can always lead to further things. Are you encouraged to go back there again because of this, to see what else may lead to what you see, whether it's this creature again or something else?
Yes, and I think that's why we constantly go back there, because not only is it a hot spot, but the phenomena that is there is they all correlate somehow, and I don't know how. It's very strange, and there is nowhere else I've ever been that has felt like that. There's something about it. I don't know. Mike felt it.
It sure did.
The weird part about it is those types of areas, and I'm going to bring Mike up here very soon in order to, once the snow melts, in order to get him into our area. But we established an area last year where we had originally found footprints on Mother's Day of Sasquatch. And we worked that area. First, we were there every 2.5 to 3 weeks. We put up a gifting site. Nothing was happening. Just kept on monitoring. And we found a number of prints in that area. Some of them weren't even close to being castable, because it was in the dry grass that had been kind of pushed down. And eventually, come the fall, that area started to heat up. And we ended up one night seeing what I would perceive, or I called, fairies all around us in the forest, seeing white orbs of light all of a sudden lighting up in the tree lines. Okay. And that was it. The following week, we go back there, and I'm leaning against the front of my buddy Mike's, not this Mike, but a different Mike's truck. And we're staring at the sky, not way up high, but just kind of straight into the horizon, staring up at the sky. There's nothing there. I turned to ask my partner, because where my son was, playing his iPad in the back of our truck. I turned back. This is only about 3-4 seconds. I turned back, and there is two bright orbs sitting in the sky. The third one all of a sudden morphs out of nowhere, creating the triangle. Okay, creating the triangle. And as soon as I started to pull my phone out of my pocket, I didn't even get my phone out, and this damn thing knew. It knew, because the minute I started pulling my phone out, the two bottom lights disappeared. And then the third one, which was the top one, it faded away into the sky. Then, not even done yet, Go back the following week, and we're minus one person. My son is there, my partner is there, and Mark is there. We go back, and the minute we turned on that logging road, all three of us adults were hit with serious fear. I was driving. All I saw was pareidolia in the trees and the bushes along the logging road that looked like alien gray heads. The other two were feeling very paranormal, very heavy on the shoulders, headaches. We got to that spot. We always go in armed, but we tell the cryptids that are there, this isn't for you. This is for any apex predators that may want to do us harm. And Mark got a telepathic message that said, if you bring your gun out of this vehicle, you're in trouble. And we were there only 40 minutes. I would not allow my son to leave the truck. We kept the doors open on the truck the entire time, and none of us went 10 feet from the truck. And after about 40 minutes, we're like, we got to get the hell out of here. There is something here that is not right. Fast forward a couple weeks later, about 9:30 at night. It's a night before a full moon. And Mark, way in the distance, hears a tree snap. He turns, looks, puts his flashlight up. There's about a 10-foot Sasquatch 100 yards away from us. And so my son saw it. I saw it. Mark saw it. And then we're trying, because we had weak flashlights with us, we're using the moonlight and the flashlights to look at this big honking guy. And Mike comes over. We kind of turn, look at Mike because we got startled, put the flashlights back on this guy. He's now crouched down. We slowly start taking a few steps forward. And when I say a few steps, maybe 2 or 3, we readjust our flashlights. He's gone. If he had gone to his left, our right, we would have heard him. He would have had to jump over a bunch of logs. If he had gone to his right, our left, we would have watched him cross the logging road and go up about an 8-foot embankment. There was only 2 ways he could have escaped. Number 1, somehow crawling backwards because he wasn't standing up. So he either crawled out backwards along the ground that we couldn't see him, or if you believe First Nations that they could shapeshift, he just vanished.
Wow.
That's really interesting. You bring up the lights, because when we were traveling from the first part of our investigation on the reservation to the second, Richie, we got out of the truck, and Richie had said that he saw like a light, like an orb in the forest. He was like, there was a bright light right over there, and there's no houses, there's no one over there. There was snow still out, so we could see if someone had been walking over there. And I was like, that's crazy. Where was it at? And Shayla couldn't hear any of this because she was in the truck still, and him and I were out walking around.
I was doing the Estes, so I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, so she comes out of the Estes, and without us saying anything, she said,
I looked out the window and I was like, oh, was somebody out there? Because I seen a flash in the trees, like at the ridge.
yeah, in the same,
like an orb.
Like probably like 200 feet away from where he had seen it. And so, but it was in the same direction. It was the same thing. They saw the same thing in the forest. So that's interesting that you said that about your story, Dave.
Yeah, and my area is known for fairies.
Oh my gosh, it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
I know, Cheyenne, you should just tell them about what's going on.
You should ask Dave.
Just tell us.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think about this? So, not that long ago,
Aliens. It's always aliens.
Yeah,
this isn't aliens.
that sounds like Cheyenne.
Something else. I know. I was happening to stumble across things about fairies. And then probably I started, I was like, Paranorthwest needs to do a podcast episode on these fairies, right? And then everything else I started reading after that was like, don't talk about them too much. They can come immediately. So I was like, I texted the group chat. I said, scratch that. We're not doing it. I don't need anything else. invited into my spiritual realm. So that same night, I'm home alone. I don't have any electronics on when I'm at home. I'm just sitting on my couch and I'm hearing a flute being played, which we do have one flute that was a handcrafted native wooden flute in the house. And it's just a little tune. It's probably for about 15 seconds. And I thought, oh my God. So I get up. I don't know why, but for some reason, I kind of paced around my apartment. I heard it again. I went to go find my phone. And right, like, just as you said, right when I got my phone out, the tune completely stopped. To follow up, within like the next hour, my boyfriend, he gets home and we have an underground parking garage. It only fits about 35 cars. And he gets out of his car and he hears a whistling tune. Same night, about an hour later. And he recorded it. He got it on video. And, you know, he's like, obviously scared. You know, he's like, hello, is anyone in here? No responses. So then he jets up and there's a door. So it goes like a door and then the stairs up to the apartments. Separate area, of course. And he hears the same tune again being whistled going up the stairs. I don't know what that is, but what do you think about that? Like it being fairies there.
I think fairies are very, very interesting. And I don't know the exact meaning of what they do or their powers or their abilities or whatever we want to call them, but I do know they can be tricksters. I
Yeah.
do know that if they like you, they will come and hover around you. My daughter, when she lived with us, she would get fairies all the time in her bedroom or outside. And if she was meditating outside, the fairies would come land on her legs and her arms. You know, a couple of years ago and Merle knows my fence line. I got one of these, you know, every 10 feet I got a post, you know, with the fence connected. And way down by my fire pit one night, I was you know, standing there just enjoying the nice warm night and watching these two. One was orange and one was reddish orange, what looked like bright orbs sitting on top of my fence posts.
Wow.
Right. And I knew it was the fairies.
Yeah.
And you know, I would just take it in stride, to be honest.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, let's go to Amanda here. We haven't heard from you in a while, Amanda Paulson. You got any fairies? You got any aliens or cryptids that are you a little jealous hearing all this cryptid stuff here that you missed this or what?
Yeah, I am really jealous that I missed it. I'm really bummed. I did hear a little bit of these stories, not the whole thing, but a little bit from them before. And yeah, I wish I was there. It was like a work night for me, so I couldn't be there. But yeah, I need more experiences like this. I have about 3 in my pocket in my entire life that I'm like, that's not a ghost. And that's all I got, you know? But I am like so ready and willing to see Hoofman, fairy, Sasquatch, whatever, any of it. So yeah, bring it on.
Well,
Bring
Merle,
fairies.
what we need to do is we need to bring this crew up to my area, and you know, be prepared for a drive. But on a long weekend or something, you come up to my area and we'll grab a trailer. We'll go camp out
Oh,
in that area.
come on now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We only got about 5 minutes left. We got a couple audience questions here. One from Tim. Do you ever get emotionally attached to any of the ghosts you guys come in contact with?
That's interesting.
I think that's a good one for Amanda.
Yeah, I'll take the lead on this. I'm like, yeah. We've got 4 minutes. I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't get emotionally attached. Although, you know, I did just recently brought in a what I think was maybe a haunted painting, and that spirit recently decided to dip out And it hurt a little. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, bye. It's yeah. So I mean, I don't think I get emotionally attached, but maybe. I mean, I have emotional reactions to them, like they are people. But it's not like I'm trying to like catch them like Pokemon or something and like keep them around for myself. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know what? The main thing is you got to go back and try and get that experience. That's for sure. And let's go over to YJ. Have you guys tried out any UV flashlights yet?
No, we haven't tried
Mm-mm.
any UV flashlights.
Not UV.
I wouldn't suggest trying it if there was like a haunted hotel, though.
That's immediately where my head went.
Me too.
Like the
I have
what's
a,
that
I have a,
show?
yep, I have a UV light attached on one of my IR lights. It's broken now, but it added a little bit of a layer when doing night vision.
Yeah,
I haven't really
think
experienced anything with it per se, but I've tried it.
We're gonna
Have
have to
you-
try that out.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
I do
reminds
have a
me. I
UV
have
flashlight.
a UV flashlight.
I
I
do.
didn't even know a UV flashlight existed. That Mike reminded me that they do have like ghost hunting, like UV. There's a UV setting on my light, but I never use it. I never thought to.
It's
I use
time.
night vision, but I never thought to use UV.
Night vision's out. It's all about UV now.
I know
UV.
night vision's like not cool anymore.
Yeah.
Freaking nerd. Yeah.
I'll still use night vision for the cryptids,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know. But the idea behind it is you have to be ready for the experience, even though you never know the experience is going to happen. Now, in this area where you saw the cryptid, I'm very curious. You know, Eric, we only got 2 minutes left here, but do you think that maybe, just maybe, that next time you head out there as a group, you may conjure up something a little bit more that the phenomena has to offer?
Well, I think Shrek said it best when he was talking about layers, and I think the res is very layered. I think if you go looking for something, I don't feel like you're going to find it. But if you just stay open and keep an open mind and just say, hey, whatever you want to show me, and just be grateful for whatever you do get shown, I feel like we keep seeing different things and having different experiences, and we're very grateful for all of them. Even if you get scared, I mean, that's why we're doing this, right? Because we have questions that we want answered, and it's almost better that they keep giving us more questions and less answers.
No, that's very true. How about you, Cheyenne? What do you think?
I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely keep an open mind. Don't go in there, I feel like, targeting something specific, like out in the woods specifically. Obviously, the investigation that we did at Shayla and Eric's house was different. You know what I mean? But just out in them woods, you never know what you're going to get. So
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Shayla?
Yes. I think he's spot on. I also do believe that if you go out there though with that energy, yeah, it might bring something out maybe a little bit different.
And Amanda will give you the final word.
I agree.
Words.
Wow. She hit a home run with that last pitch there. Merle, thank you for a great show. The Rings of Sat Merle. Appreciate you, buddy.
Likewise. It was a good show.
Absolutely. And we look forward to letting our audience know when you're going to release that video of the Skinwalker or whatever it may be. I know they'll want to know. And Merle will see you in Vegas for our Vegas event, May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget. Goes to the Great White North, wraps up for another month. Coming up next, we head to the swamp. Then Tim Senor joins us for the UFO Report. We'll be back for Hour 3 next. Great job, guys. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you for having us.
And if any of you want to join us in Vegas, May 19th through 21st for our fan party, You're
Oh.
more than welcome to.
Cool. Rubbing elbows with the finest over here. I like that.
Yep. We do have a dress code, so Merle is going to have to wear a bow tie.
Yes. Bow tie Merle.
On this neck. Woo, that'll look good.
You look good no matter what, okay?
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
That's
enough.
true. That's true. Very true. Yeah. So if you guys want to come, put that on your calendar. We'd love to see you there.
Cool.
The Golden Nugget too. My grandfather stole a lot from that hotel. I have like 6 keys. I actually have so down in the basement when we were doing the Estes method, I don't think you saw it, Merle, but I have a Golden Nugget slot machine from the 1960s that he stole.
We could return it.
Yeah, it's a whole entire slot machine. I don't know how he got it. He's since passed, but yeah, I mean, he stole a lot and he passed that on to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, guys. You all have a great night. Thank you for a great show.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
And we'll talk soon, guys. Take care. Merle, I'll call you tomorrow.
Ciao.
Later. Merle of the Great White North right there. That's why we love him right there. I'll be right back, everyone. Hour 3 coming up next. All right. What a great show. Great show tonight. Excuse me. All right. Excuse me. Thank you tonight to Shelby, Deb, Eric, Jake, Kira, Dis, Pam S., and Cat Chaser for the great super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support for Spaced Out Radio. Our store, spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you go get your swag on there. And no, El Ovni Volador has not been around. From last I heard, he got picked up by the police. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ultimo. Ultimo is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again for us to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. I had always been fascinated by the great outdoors and the beauty of nature, so when I heard about Yosemite National Park growing up, I knew I had to go. I packed my gear and I set out on a hiking and fishing trip, excited to explore the park's crystal clear streams, towering trees, and breathtaking scenery. I had been hiking for quite a few hours, taking in sights and sounds of the forest when I realized that I had lost my way at some point. The trail that had been guiding me seemed to just disappear, and I couldn't find any markers to guide myself back. I tried retracing my steps, but the forest was just too dense, and I couldn't tell which way was which. Panic began to set in, and I began to realize that I was lost. As I walked, I noticed that the trees seemed to be getting closer together, and the forest was becoming darker altogether. The sound of the babbling brook that had been guiding me was fading away slowly, and I was left with an eerie silence that only amplified my fear. After some time, I stumbled upon a clearing, and in the middle of it was an old cabin. It looked abandoned, and I hesitated before going in. The door creaked as I pushed it open, and the smell of mildew hit me. The inside was dusty, and the furniture was covered with cobwebs. It was clear that no one had been here in quite some time. I decided to make camp inside the cabin for the night, hoping to find my way out of the forest in the morning. I was lucky to find a place that was dry. I got a fire going in the fireplace and began to make myself comfortable for the night. And as the warmth of the flames washed over me, I felt a sense of relief. But as the night went on, my sense of safety would begin to fade. The silence was unnerving, and I kept hearing strange noises coming from outside the cabin. It sounded like something was walking around the perimeter, and I could hear the occasional snap of a twig or rustling of leaves. I tried to convince myself that it was just some sort of animal, but the fear was too immense. As the night wore on, the noises became more frequent and more prevalent. I realized that I wasn't alone here. I could hear something moving around outside the cabin, and it was not my mind playing tricks on me. I felt the sense of dread wash over me. It sounded like something was trying to break in. scratching and clawing at the walls ever so slightly. I tried to ignore it the best I could, but the fear was far too great. I lay in my sleeping bag, heart racing, my eyes darting around the room looking for anything. Every time I thought the noises had stopped and would begin to close my eyes, they would immediately start back up again, even louder and more intense than before. It was like it was playing mind games with me. It knew when I was about to fall asleep. Finally, the noises stopped altogether, and I was left with an even more creepy, eerie silence. I tried to convince myself that everything was okay, but the feeling of unease just lingered. It never really relented. I decided that I couldn't stay in the cabin any longer, and then I had to find my way out of this forest ASAP. As I stepped outside, I saw a figure in the distance standing amongst the trees. It was dark and tall, and it seemed to be staring at me. I immediately stopped, stared right back at it, and the figure vanished into the forest. I ran in the opposite direction, trying to find my way out of the park, but the forest seemed to be alive all around me, and it was as if it was trying to keep me trapped inside its depths. I had heard more strange noises, and I had saw more shadowy figures in the distance. It was like I was living in a nightmare. The night was long, and my body was tired, but I knew I had to keep moving. I stumbled upon a river and followed it. This was my last hope. I was really hoping it would lead me out of the forest, but the river was treacherous and the rocks were slippery. I fell several times, bruising my knees and scraping my hands. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a lifetime if you will, I saw a faint light in the distance. My heart leapt with hope, and I began to run towards it with all I had. As I got closer, I realized that it was a campsite. There were a few tents set up, and I could see the glow of a campfire. I stumbled into the camp, gasping for breath, and the campers looked up in surprise. They were a group of 3 friends who had been hiking in the park for a few days now. They gave me a fair chance and listened to my story, and their faces were full of concern. They offered me a hot meal and a place to sleep for the night, and as I sat by the fire, I felt the tension in my body begin to ease just ever so slightly. I was grateful for their kindness and for the safety of their company. The next morning, I set out with their group, determined to find my way out of the forest. They were experienced hikers and knew the park well, and they helped me navigate the trails. We hiked for a couple of hours, and I could feel the relief wash over me as we got closer to the park entrance. As we emerged from the forest, I looked back at the towering trees, dense undergrowth, and everything that I had gone through, and the fear I had felt the night before seemed distant and unreal, like a dream that had faded with the morning light. I thanked the group for their help profusely and set out on a long journey back home. As I drove away from the park, I couldn't help but think that the strange occurrence of that night before, maybe it was just my imagination, or was there something more sinister lurking in the forest? The memory of that night stayed with me for a long time, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Whenever I thought about it, I would get nightmares. But despite the fear and uncertainty, I knew that I would return to Yosemite National Park one day. The beauty and majesty of the park were too great to resist, the lure of the wilderness was way too strong, and plus I had to go pick up my camping gear eventually.
And that's why we love the Swamp Dweller around here, taking us on spooky journeys every Monday through Friday night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. If you love his stories and you want more, all you got to do is head on over to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads, and you can listen to thousands of stories just like that for free. From the swamp to the stars, it is that time of the night once again where we get to Tim Senor and the UFO Report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Tim Senor holding up a book from the legendary Jim Goodall. I hope you're bringing that to Vegas to get him to autograph it.
That thing weighs like 15 pounds and it's like massive. I don't know. Yeah, I definitely want to. It's initially why I got the book, but I'll tell you what, after digging in and realizing what I was getting myself into with this baby, there's a ton of information. This is actually, I'm holding it up simply because it's going to be potentially a topic we're covering tonight. So absolutely a fantastic book by a legend. And I got a few of them here. I would love to get them all signed, but it would be like I think I'd have to have an extra carry-on just for his library.
I had to laugh. I don't know if you saw this or not, but on the drive.com, they had a very long story about the Lockheed Skunk Works, kind of hinting that there may have been a replacement currently flying that replaced the SR-71 30 years ago. And what the funny part about it, that's not funny. Okay, but the funny part about it is random guy hears me say this on the air and I get a text message. No, not the SR-72, buddy. Not the SR-72. I just wish one day he could go into detail. You know, the damn NDAs get in the way all the time, you know, but I was like, oh, come on, just spill the beans. Spill the beans. No. You know, but you look at what Michael Schratz states, that we may already be up to an SR-75, you know, and that hypersonic speed could be a possibility with that aircraft. I mean, we may have just got a little bit of a big tip with Top Gun Maverick, where he flies the Dark Star.
Aurora. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been the Aurora, but nobody's ever going to say anything.
Right. It is so cool, though. And it's cool to think of potential reverse engineering and all kinds of goodies that's being implied by some of the new topics that we're seeing spun into the UFO world of all things. And as you probably know, recently Liberation Times did a great article. And if you'd like me to dive right in, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. So as I said, Liberation Times recently did an article on Lockheed Martin challenging the UFO legacy programs as politicians are now discussing talking hearings. And so from Christopher Sharp, we get this great article, and let's get into it. Journalist and filmmaker Jeremy Corbell has challenged the U.S. Senate Committee on Appropriations to audit alleged unidentified anomalous phenomenon special access programs, citing specifically Lockheed Martin as an example. And while appearing on Newsmax a few days ago, alongside Representative Tim Burchett, who is also a UAP transparency advocate, Corbell referenced the committee's chair, Patty Murray, and its vice chair, Susan Collins, in his challenge. And in this quote, he says, "I would like to also encourage you, Congressman Tim Burchett, with whatever power that you do have with your colleagues, to do one thing in particular right now. We have the U.S. Senate Committee on Appropriations. They have jurisdiction over the spending. And so we have Senator Patty Murray. We have Senator Susan Collins, who are able to audit the special access programs, such as ones that are held like you're talking about at Lockheed Martin." And so Corbell also named Lieutenant General Dimitri Henry, the Director of Intelligence from the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff, as key to transparency efforts. And so in this following quote, "So I would like to include in this investigation, which I ask of you, for example, Lieutenant General Dimitri Henry, you know he is the current Director for Intelligence Joint Staff, J2. They have authority and management over the Intelligence Committee, and they should be asking questions. If we do have UFO exploitation programs, I'm calling the silver bullet, they should be able to ask of Lockheed and other contractors, what are they working on?" And so Lou Elizondo, former director of Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, backed up Corbell's comments, telling Liberation Times, "I applaud the effort to get to the bottom of any legacy efforts to exploit UAP materials, and have stated in the past my position on this matter. I would also go a step further and not limit the focus of the inquiry to just one aerospace company, but to several others that have likely played a key historical role in this endeavor." And so before we get a little deeper into this, your first thoughts, Dave, I'd love to bring you in.
Well, once again, we hear the word UAP used around man-made objects, man-made craft. I find that very, very coincidental, if not on purpose. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, you and I have bantered back and forth over the last few weeks about UAP versus UFO. And if we're talking about an argument of what the United States is really flying, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to side with the government on this one. I would like to know what the toys are. I think all of us would like to know what the toys are. However, in part to national security in the United States, I don't think in the world we live in right now, it's a safe thing to come out and say, hey, we have hypersonic jets. We have hypersonic this or hypersonic that. I don't think we need to be there right now. Okay. And if you go back in time a little bit previous, like a decade or two, the F-35 has been pushed on many governments, including the United States, as a fifth-gen fighter. The F-22s were way too expensive for what they were getting. I mean, the jets have gone, from where it doesn't sound expensive, but when the F-18s were first created, they were selling around $40 to $45 million per aircraft. F-16s were in that $35 million range. F-15s were in that $50 million range. When you're looking at 150 million plus for an F-22 or 65 to 85 million per F-35, I realize there's inflation and new technology, but when you're paying $400,000 for a specialized pilot's helmet, comparatively to a $2,000 helmet that an F-18 pilot can wear, that gets a little ridiculous. And I think they price themselves out. But that being said, if that technology that is being tested today is going to further enhance safety of the allies, keep it quiet. I don't think there's, and it's weird because I am so different when it comes to UFOs. I really am. I want transparency on the UFO topic. That's how you get to any sort of disclosure. But for this one, I'm not so sure, Tim. I'm not so sure. It's an ugly world east and west of us here in North America. We're on our big island of our own. And we need to make sure that this area still remains safe.
Of course. Of course. And I guess I would just highlight what Lou Elizondo put forth here, in that he supports any effort to get to the bottom of any legacy efforts to exploit UAP materials. And I feel that's pretty simple. He's hoping to find out if there's anything historical that we can look at that was recovered materials from UAP that was used in potential reverse engineering. And I'm sure that there has to be a discussion that could be had where you could disclose without giving away ways and means of our current assets. There must be a discussion that we can have historically, perhaps, so that if it's a discussion about something that's technology that's already public, maybe they can discuss some of the reverse tech that they used in order to do that. That would be hypothetically one way. And I think that that's what we're looking at here, legacy efforts that he's discussing. So I think that's more of a focus on what they can talk about.
I get that, and I can really appreciate that. I really can. But one of the other things that we need to note on this, Tim, is that if the United States really cared about UFOs, okay, they would be able to tell their own people. And maybe this is the secret as to why the Air Force and many others don't really want to talk about it publicly, because what flies out of Area 51 and places like that now are considered UFOs by people like you and me, the uneducated of what's actually flying out there. And the other thing that we need to remember is we need to be able to, with knowing that the Air Force and Skunk Works and other projects that are out at places like Area 51, they are doing that for the future. They already know what they have and what they're working on. Therefore, why aren't the military crossing out those, or Congress crossing out those? Look, we're test flying X-91 right now, or we're flying out SR-77. I'm just picking up numbers here. Okay, we already know that they're there. Not the public, but they know. So why are they crossing those off the list of saying, no, that's ours, no, that's ours, no, that's ours? Or is there zero communication right across the board? This is what we don't know. Because remember, for every aircraft that they test, or that goes into service per se, there's probably a dozen aircraft that have been tested in between that. And you can learn that from the numbers system. So for instance, the original F-18 Hornet was by McDonnell Douglas was originally scheduled to be a YF-17. And then when they perfected it, they changed it because the F-17 was a different, smaller aircraft. They changed it to the FA-18. So they change the numbers all the time. Where's the F-19? Where's the F-20? Well, they had the F-20 Tiger Shark. Where's the F-21 before the F-22? What was tested between the F-22 and the F-35? We have the B-1. We have the B-2. What was tested between the B-2 and the B-21? We don't know.
The
Number patterns are
B2A Spirit.
Absolutely. But either way, where's the B3? Where's the B4? Where's the B5? B6, B7, B8, right up to 21. We know they used to have the 50s numbers because in World War II it started with the 40s, and then the B-52. You had the B-58 Hustler. You had the XB-70 that never went into service. It looked like a Concorde, but was a bomber shaped. There were only 2 of those built. So, I mean, there's a little bit that kind of goes into it.
Yeah. Well, let me complete this couple of sentences here out of the article.
We got one.
In the early 1990s, former State Majority Leader Robert Baird, who was chair of Senate Committee on the Appropriations, and the late Senator Harry Reid, tasked a congressional staffer named Richard D'Amato with investigating claims of secret UAP special access programs. And investigating and visiting Area 51, D'Amato was unable to verify claims relating to such programs. But according to investigative journalist George Knapp, thought it entirely feasible that this UFO cover-up exists within a private company, any company such as Lockheed Martin, EG&G, or Northrop Grumman. There you go. So he did some investigating before he came up with this concept. And so I do believe it's possible that these programs exist. I mean, it was all compartmentalized so much, it's possible.
Very true. Very true. When we come back on Spaced Out Radio, we are going to get into the latest controversial UFO words of Avi Loeb, the Harvard professor and astro. Been a mothership fly right by, maybe dropping off its own drones with parachutes. I don't know. I really don't. But we'll get into it with Tim Senor and the UFO Report when we return on Spaced Out Radio after our final break of the night. Stay tuned. Good solid start there, Timmy.
It was fun. I wish Jim Goodall was in our chat tonight. He could have straightened us out on some of those birds.
Right. You're very right.
Can't wait to meet him in person in Vegas.
You're gonna love him. He is amazing.
We definitely share a taste in shirts in common, I think.
Oh yeah, you guys shop at the same haberdasher.
That's right. Vegas is a great place to shop too, buddy. He's like, no, I'm just in there for the gambling, right?
Me? No.
You just like all the bright lights.
I do like the bright lights.
Yeah, it's great.
Can you believe me?
We had fun.
Can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Can't wait to go back. Gonna be a blast.
Let's see if I can pull out some Dave in Vegas photos.
Oh, let's not say we did.
They're all fantastic.
No, please do not.
Okay.
I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that.
They're not all of you.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. I don't rock nice shirts like you do.
I think you were rocking some sporty shirts while we were there, though. Come on.
I wasn't feeling well, remember?
I do remember that, but you really hung in well. We had a blast.
Yes.
Well, it was also at the tail end of a few days of work for you.
Oh, I got home, dude, and I was so bloody tired.
Yeah.
So tired. Crazy. It was crazy. I can't wait to get back.
From San Francisco?
San Francisco first. So just a reminder, tomorrow night and Friday, Jessica Jones, the Cryptid Huntress, will be hosting for me. And then on Monday, Marquise Williams will be hosting for me. I will be back on the air on Tuesday, but we wanted to make sure that you guys still all had live shows to listen to. Hey, Joshua 420, welcome to SOR Chat. So I am looking forward to getting away for a couple days. I already have my plan. Uber to the airport. While I'm in the Uber, ordering Taco Bell. Get my room, and go pass out for like 2-3 hours.
That's the perfect Dave day right there.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. We don't go into downtown San Fran. We stay in the airport area, hotel area. It stopped snowing and the melt is on. Hey, YJ, is the melt on where you are too? Yeah.
My school in San Francisco is on Montgomery Street, which at one end connects with the other street that your convention is on.
Oh, really?
It's my stomping ground. Yeah, I went to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco.
There is a giant Marine Corps cemetery there. And it is so beautiful. I'd never ever, the first time I went to San Francisco, I caught a cab because I wanted to get my hair trimmed and I didn't have time to get it trimmed up here. And I was a little messy. And this one I had long hair the first time. And long story short, I'd never seen the row on row white headstones before.
No
I'd
kidding.
never seen that. And as we're driving along this bypass, it bypasses the entire cemetery, and this cemetery is huge. But I'd never seen it before. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I wanted to walk over there and just, pay respects,
Yeah, I think you're talking about the cemetery in the Presidio. It's pretty famous.
Is it? Is that what it is?
It's out of the film, and it's a famous part. And in fact, George Lucas purchased that whole Presidio area and turned it into studios for LucasArts, believe it or not. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. It is incredible area.
I'd never seen that before, so it would be cool. 10 seconds to go here. Thank you, Cat Chaser, Pam S, Diz, Kira, Jake, Eric, Deb, and Shelly for the amazing super chats. Here we go, everyone. grounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. Once again, Tim Senor and the UFO Report. And Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb is back in the news, Tim, believing that our solar system may have been recently visited. What's going on here?
Yeah. So recently, Avi Loeb co-authored a paper with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office from the Pentagon. And Dr. Loeb describes physical constraints on interpretations of, quote, highly maneuverable UAPs using known forms of matter and radiation. And so, according to the study, the friction of UAPs with surrounding air or water is expected to generate a bright optical fireball, ionization shell, and tail, implying radio signatures. And the lack of these signatures could indicate inaccurate distance measurements for single-site sensors without range gate capability. And so Dr. Loeb explains NASA was tasked by the U.S. Congress to find 90% of all near-Earth objects that are larger than 140 meters, resulting in the creation of the Pan-STARRS telescope. And so in 2017, an unusual neo-named Oumuamua was discovered. And this raised the possibility that it was a thin and artificial in origin. And so later, NASA discovered that a definitely artificial object, such as a rocket booster 2020 SO, exhibited similar behavior. And so now the consideration of artificial interstellar objects that can release many small probes during its close passage to Earth are becoming a possibility. And so these probes could reach Earth or other solar system planets for exploration and would be undetectable for existing survey telescopes, but could be detected by deep space radars and space fences. And so these dandelion seeds could be separated by the parent craft of the tidal gravitational force of the sun or maneuvering capability, and a small ejection speed far away could lead to a large deviation from the trajectory of the parent craft near the sun. And so the changes would manifest both in arrival time and the distance of the closest approach to Earth. So basically what we're hearing in concept here is the idea of sending a large craft and then sending out seedling crafts to go and check out the planet up close. Kind of what he's insinuating we're seeing with the UAP, potentially that outside of our solar system there awaits a mother craft of some sort. So a lot of big thoughts coming with a little bit of science and some conceptual ideas. But this is actually a paper that was formalized by two leading scientists and being presented as a possibility. Dave, your thoughts on this out-of-the-box thinking? Is this the kind of paper that we need to see? Or is this kind of conjecture leading real scientists to perhaps scratch their heads as to what path these scientists are on?
Well, one of I have a lot of questions and comments about this, and we're probably going to talk about this for the rest of the show. Okay, first off, Arrowhead Sean Kirkpatrick is also believed to have ties to Enigma Labs. Okay, and there's a good chance that Kirkpatrick, who is within the 2-year radius of retiring from his government position, will end up working for Enigma Labs, which makes sense that he would write this article with Avi Loeb as all the groups come together and try and focus on Enigma. Coincidence? Maybe not. Okay. But here's the other thing, and This may sound woo here, but I'm going to try and do some reading between the lines here, Tim, because you know I like to do that. And very, very, very rarely am I wrong. I'll pat my own back there. Why would they say a mothership? Why would they say that it's possible it's out there? And let me explain this a little bit, and I hope I do a good job with this. For years, experiencers like R. Keith Andrews, Samantha Mowat, and many others that we have had on this show who don't know each other have talked about this galactic federation ship that is sitting just outside of our moon area. This giant ship that this federation of extraterrestrials has been there. We've heard them say it, that they're all waiting for humanity to grow up, stop the infighting, start acting like a communal citizen of planet Earth, and that's what they're waiting for. Well, technically, isn't that what Avi Loeb and Sean Kirkpatrick are writing about? So how can all these woo tinfoil hatters who make these outlandish claims that there is this Galactic Federation mothership sitting out there behind the moon somewhere, or wherever it is, and then all of a sudden Avi Loeb and Sean Kirkpatrick come out with this theory that there has been a mothership passing by and may have dropped off its own spy drones to monitor what's happening all across planet Earth? To me, yes, I have my tinfoil hat on. It sounds a little too coincidental, Tim. Sounds a little too coincidental. And even if it's not, Tim, my question would then be, knowing the position of Sean Kirkpatrick right now, what did they see? What have they found? Did one of the satellites, whether it's Hubble or others, did they see a craft? We'll never know. Did they see a giant 10-mile wide, 100-mile wide craft to call a mothership? To give them that information? Are they going on some sort of molecular structure or signatures that computers are picking up from space? Because to me, it sounds just a little bit too much of a reach and too sci-fi. But when you put it all together, reading between the lines, the stupidity of it all, it makes sense. I hope I described that well.
No, you did great, but I'm just wondering if we're supposed to forget about Kirkpatrick and Loeb collaborating and then Loeb releasing his very quick description of the Ukrainian phantom as mundane debris or rockets of our own. And now we're seeing the exact side, the other side of the coin, coming on this hypothetical paper between the same two people. And Kirkpatrick went all the way to Loeb's house, in fact, with the data on the Ukrainian phantom, to initiate that discussion and have Loeb prepare a paper on his decision of that being a mundane thing that we were looking at. And so when I see something like this, this describing the other side of the argument for UAP, I see a description of somebody that's looking for the top scientist in the field to collaborate with and perhaps put a paper together to initiate funding for the next Arrow. That's just me spitballing that we know that usually a paper is written either at the beginning or end of a funding procedure, if you will, or time slot. And so if we're seeing the end of the funding and the end of Arrow now, we need something else. We need something a little more flexible. And I think that's great because the topic is still moving forward. But again, it wouldn't be surprising if you're seeing another round of requesting for funding into this. So it's more of another request for dollar signs. And I hate to be that way because I love seeing this conversation. And I do also love the concept that we need to search our own backyard, for the possibility of intelligent life. But at the same rate, I just see manipulation, when I see them getting this flexible with this wordage.
Tim, can I also state something? And I don't know the answer to this. Okay. I really don't. But how often in American politics do we hear of top secret program officials writing hypothetical reports with citizen university scientists? Does that I honestly don't know the answer to that, being up here in Canada. I don't know if it happens in our educational system or if it happens down there. But take the topic, say it happened in forestry or mining or nuclear energy or something that isn't top secret. Does that happen a lot, where these program heads will write a hypothetical report with university professors?
Yeah, I've got a book full of them, and here's one of them who we know collaborated that way. J. Allen Hynek, and I'm holding up his book, The UFO Experience, here. And in the back, it documents plenty of collaborations between scientists and government officials, high-ranking government officials, in order to discredit UFO topics sometimes, or to carry on the UFO narrative in order to benefit maybe programs. We don't know, because back then a lot of that I don't think had really been, we're very progressive with the concept of reverse engineering now, but I don't think that they were quite there yet, that things were being hidden within Lockheed Martin, for example. So
No, I understand that, but outside of UFOs, is this happening?
outside of ufology, I haven't looked, but I imagine in weather, of course.
Maybe.
And I imagine there's a lot of collaboration that takes place between high-ranking scientists and high-ranking officials in government in order to deal. I mean, I'm sure of it, in fact, because we have massive disasters that take place all the time, and there has to be collaborations. But I think on this topic, that is very much, a hot button. And the fact that they're throwing around UFO and UAP so casually right now in the media, you really don't know what you're reading and why. But when I see something like this, I just think back to the last time these two people worked together and what they came up with. And it was to explain away a video that was coming from the Ukrainian war showing phantom UAP. And then now we're talking about the possibility of having a mothership just within our solar system spreading dandelion type UAPs down to Earth to gather information. And they're even talking about some of these probes being extremely abundant and being able to multiply exponentially and things like that. And so there's a lot of concepts being thrown around within this paper of the dandelion seed, the universal assemblers, and things like this are all quotes from this paper. A lot of conjecture, a lot of deep thought went into this, obviously, but it's based on some other physicists, such as John von Neumann's theory, right? So they did a little bit of research before they brought this forward, but it is interesting as to maybe why at this time is this paper being released, and why by these two people.
I just found it coincidental. And I apologize if my question seemed quite naive about it, but I am in regards to how that works. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just a journalism guy after all. Just a
Yeah.
journalism guy.
I don't think that you see a lot of conjecture typically in a collaboration like this. This is very much in the woo. We're solidly in the woo. But if anyone follows how Avilob writes in medium.com, he writes pretty regularly there, and he writes a lot of outside of the box papers. So he's a very forward thinking person. So for him, it's not surprising. But for him to write a paper with a high ranking government official, Sean Kirkpatrick, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. The two of them obviously agree on some of this for them to put this paper forward. And again, I think that it's important to, highlight the fact that it is always a timing thing. We're seeing a very maybe coming to a close arrow, like I stated earlier, and perhaps we're looking for something new coming forward in need of looking into the ocean and looking out into space and maybe recovering some of those potential interstellar objects that Avi Loeb is so excited to go and scour the ocean floor for.
Could very well be. Could very well be. What's your thoughts, though, that all of these people, Tim, who've never met, all of these experiencers out there seem to talk about this galactic federation ship that is out there beyond the moon somewhere, that has been there for years waiting for humanity to smarten on up. And just so happens, Loeb talks about a mothership as well. Coincidence? Or, what's your thoughts on that?
Has Avi Loeb been watching Gaia TV? I don't know. I think it's excellent, but at the same rate, it throws up a lot of red flags because I feel that you need, according to Avi Loeb, you need to think clearly, and you need to be able to have data to support your theories. So I think what we're seeing is him put a theory forward, and then hopefully he wants to collect data to support it. And so we do know that he is poised to get funding to take a boat out to recover portions of what they have considered to be an interstellar object confirmed by NASA. And if they were to recover that, they believed that this changed trajectory and direction when it came into Earth's atmosphere, because it was tracked the entire way. So they have a pretty good idea. But upon investigation, I find out that this object that they're looking for is possibly only 1 foot to 3 feet long. And so literally a needle in the haystack, if they're hoping to recover that from the bottom of the ocean, even with the good navigation coordinates that they have. But I love science. I love the idea that they're trying to prove that maybe there's a mothership out there, but it definitely dives a little bit into the woo. And could it potentially discredit the people that are involved with that organization? And is that intentional with this paper? You wonder what the motivations behind people getting attached to others sometimes are. And without them revealing why and their methods, then you just kind of have to sit back and wonder. But I think exactly what you're saying is kind of on the right track. It is an interesting collaboration. What do you think about it?
I'm suspicious. I really am. And I know there's going to be people out there, Tim, who look at it and say, of course you are, Dave. You don't believe anything from the government. You don't believe anything from this or whatever it may mean. Okay. I understand that and I appreciate that, but I don't understand a collaboration between these two individuals. I just don't. We know they're working together. We know it's going to tie in to Enigma Labs and whatever direction they are going. And it just makes me cringe that somebody who is holding deep secrets regarding this topic will then write a hypothetical report on motherships. That is more woo than seeing a flying saucer in the sky.
Right. Well, could it be that we just had Balloon Gate, where UAPs were determined to be balloons, and we need to reinvigorate the UFO aspect with a little bit of the woo? And this paper was perhaps reinvigorating the UAP aspect, the UFO aspect of UAP. And I love Derek's mention here. I think that that's great. They could be right in front of our face and we wouldn't know, right? Because not only is their technology awesome, but we don't have tech, or we don't see them with our naked eyes, and maybe we don't even have tech that sees this mothership yet. So I think that's a great comment.
I love Jeremy's comment here. They can't find flight MH370, the Boeing 777, but you'll think they'll find a 3-foot alien probe? I doubt it.
Yeah.
Good point, Jeremy.
But they'll definitely chuck 3.3 million at the attempt, and any more that you're willing to donate or dedicate to it. And that's another reason why I think you're starting to see Avi more than happy to attach himself to Sean Kirkpatrick, because that means you're getting federal dollars, doesn't it? Potentially for the Galileo project.
I think it leads to a meeting with Peter Thiel, the funder of $5 to $7 million for the Enigma Labs.
Ding.
Okay. And it also steers Galileo project and all of their findings to go under the Enigma Labs, much like Rich Hoffman stated. Look, this is the Lego building blocks of ufology, where we're seeing all of these partnerships and collaborations come together, Tim, and it's not healthy for the UFO public.
Right. What happens?
They don't care about us.
They don't care about us. And what happens when they prove this all out as mundane, or the phantoms are all rockets? And, the fact is that even look at some of the releases that we're getting from the military and from Jeremy Corbell and his team. A lot of that stuff potentially could be rockets.
Could very well be. Tim, another great UFO report. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, my man. Very much appreciate it. Thank you to Swamp Dweller and everybody from Merle on down for Ghosts of the Great White North. A great show indeed right here on Spaced Out Radio. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, guess what? We got room for them too. Good night. That was a great show.
Yeah. Yeah. Your panel of ghost hunters was amazing with the Merlinator.
Yeah. Good old Merleville.
Yeah.
Take the last train to Merleville.
Paul Simon, everyone.
You know what, though, dude? If we got a few minutes, I'd like to continue actually talking about this with our audience, because it's just amazing how everything continues to be like tightening up laces on a running shoe, or a sneaker, as you say down there. Okay. And watching it all kind of come together with what Hoffman said on this show, with Enigma, with Sean Kirkpatrick's relationship with Peter Thiel, with now Avi Loeb and Sean, the head of and creator of the Galileo project, tying on into Kirkpatrick, which ties into Enigma, which ties into Arrow. It all seems to be, that they're tying this all together. And I don't know how else to put it, man. It just, to me, it doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's something we should be, how can we put it, Tim?
Buying into. But here,
I think, it's funny. I was talking to Thomas Fessler, a good friend of yours and mine, before the show. He called me up,
awesome.
and we were just kind of talking about how everything lately just seems like we're being played. And this just seems like another one of those situations where we are getting played.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Dave, you and I both know, and we've seen some pretty good stuff from NASA and insiders. If they had UFOs or UFO photos, we would know, right? We would know where's the stuff. Like, show it to us at this point. And the fact that they're showing this false interest in UFOs is really frustrating, because they are interested in UAP, the things that are that are flying around up there that are in the way potentially of airliners and things like that. That is real stuff. UAP is a real thing, and part of it's weather phenomenon, and part of it's nuts and bolts whatever stuff. But the discussion has not been UFOs since day one. And again, I just go back to the times that I have had my interactions with people in the know, and whenever I talk about UFOs, they don't know. And if they do, they try and hide it under a potential NDA. But if there was any truth to it, I'd feel like at some point we would get something better than, if they really wanted us to think. This is what I'm saying. If they were taking UFOs seriously, we would have something better than what we currently have as far as evidence from them, right? Like, if they really want us to think that they're looking for UFOs, where's the stuff that doesn't look mundane? Because it must exist. That's the stuff they need to show us at this point if they want us to get past the fact that disclosure is not going to happen. We might get, some more of this stuff from the military, but that's not UFO. In my opinion, this is just my opinion, by the way, everything I'm saying.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I really do. And I don't know how to change that. It's going to be up to every individual person up there. And, and this is exactly what Thomas and I were talking about earlier, is us as people who have a vocal influence on people in this subject. And trust me, I hate the word influence and influencers. I really do. But for those of us who have this ability to talk at a microphone or in front of a camera, this is the time where we need to stop the banter and realize there's an entire baseball game being played in front of us, and it's Chicago Black Sox type of game. It really is that type of game, and it's not pretty. It's something that we shouldn't be involved with. Okay. It's something that has taken the people out of the stadium, or they're trying to get the people out of the stadium to play a private game. Don't worry. We'll tell you who won. Don't worry about your bets in Vegas or your Vegas odds. After the game, we'll tell you. It's like WWE wrestling, man. It's all choreographed and predetermined. The athletics is real. The pain is real. The chops are real. The going through a steel or going through a table is real. Getting hit in the head with a steel chair is real. Okay. But the outcome is predetermined. That's almost like what we're seeing today, to use a sports or a sports entertainment analogy. Hi, Donald Dean. How you doing? Social Dig, Rob G. How you doing, my man? I mean,
yeah,
Tim, you are absolutely right that we need more disappointment in what we're seeing. Okay, like I said to you on the phone earlier, the way we are when you first started this UFO report, you were Mr. I used to call you, and audience, if you haven't heard, I used to call Tim Mr. Nuts and Bolts. Okay, because you were
Mostly nuts.
Well, you are nuts, right?
It's not
But
right,
you were very much like a lot of UFO Twitter, and I don't mean that insultingly, but you were much like a lot of UFO Twitter that I don't want to say you were buying everything the government said, but it was very, very, look, this is what we have. This is what we need to go by. I don't think there is ABCD happening. At least you would say, I haven't seen that. Okay. But as you've now delved more into this subject, doing this show, and really delving into it and talking to the people that you're talking to, you've really opened your eyes to the idea that there is a game being played, right? And you're not liking the game that you're seeing. And many others deserve to have their eyes opened as you have.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you're absolutely right. And it's frustrating. And I didn't really know it until I went out, got my own data, and then I had people circling around me out of nowhere, wanting that. When, that's cool. I don't mind sharing it, but it was from organizations. I don't want to get into it, but I mean, that right there kind of proved your point. And I'd love to just mention something earlier. I had been reading on Twitter, and this is kind of what throws red flags up to me when I try to get excited about people that are talking about not only UFO and UAP, but they're also going out in front of AIAA, for example, and talking about the realities of UFO and UAP, and that organization needs to be aware of it. But Ted Rope threw out a tweet, and in this he says, talking about somebody that presented at AIAA, and he doesn't tell us who, but is it okay for me to read this?
Yeah, please go ahead. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, Ted Rowe from NARCAP. And so he says here, speaking of someone as he says, he will never be invited back to do another presentation at AIAA. They purged his talk from the record. It was so substandard for a science and engineering audience. It actually hurt to listen to it after we spent so much time building our program. Very disappointing and toxic. And so this was after Ted Rowe had presented, and he's talking about somebody that came in and also presented. We can probably, guess, but without getting into too much detail, what I'm taking from that is my frustration from the fact that we're not able to check the work that's being written in these papers. They're just being written and then presented, and they're peer reviewed amongst, organizations and who knows who, right? And then they're being presented as potential the UFO UAP topic. Well, we as the general public have no say in that. We don't know how this thing is geared, whether it's towards a threat narrative or towards the UFO reality. I'm sure it's not. But my point being with that is that when they do try and put a scientific paper together on UAP, it obviously looks like they're fumbling across the experts. And so they're dropping the ball ultimately. And so we need to know who's representing. We need to know a little bit more about this before we go and present on a topic like this. Do you know what I'm kind of going with that?
Oh, I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
And that's really frustrating to see that kind of thing happening, because we want this topic to be taken seriously. And so when these papers are presented, we need to let it get peer reviewed, really peer reviewed, like put it out to the public, get some feedback. I mean, it's not going to be scrutinized by only Mick West. There'll be a lot of support as well. And there are a lot of really smart people that also could probably add to this argument that are on the UFO, side, I guess I'll say, that are out here to prove the reality and can potentially. And so I'm just kind of in that frustration mode. And here's my thing. I do support the government in a massive way, and I am an American in every way. And in the same way I would, if I was Canadian, I would support Canadian government. But my point is that that mechanism has to work. And some parts can be kind of new and in formation. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. This is a newer thing where, you know, they don't know what they're talking about. Obviously, they're researching the topic pretty hard. But they are getting bad information potentially. And, you know, it seems like they're being fed a certain narrative through Congress, you know, with certain notes that are being brought in to congressional hearings. And now we're going to follow up on those. Well, some of it's real, some of it's not. We don't know. It could all be real. But the fact is they're not showing their work. And it could potentially be leading them down a rabbit hole of nonsense. And so it's just very frustrating time right now. Because the UFO issue is definitely a real one, but I don't think that is the conversation that they're having in Congress whatsoever. I don't think they're talking about that as the reality.
Not as of yet. Not as of yet. But you know, I keep coming back to it, Tim, and I just think of all of these great people out there who have had amazing experiences. Okay, who are, you know, just wanting to know what happened to them. And they're pretty much being shunned with the UFO scarlet letters on their chest that basically says, "Oh, you're an experiencer? Yeah, we're not talking to you. You're not important to the conversation." You know?
Yeah. And it feels like a paper that's written by Avi Loeb and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. Something like that is almost, and I hate to say it, kind of a slap in the face to experiencers, right? Because they're doing it very much, in my opinion, tongue in cheek. There's no real math or, you know, data behind this. They're not like, let's figure out a way to find out if there's a mothership. They're just like, let's dive down, let's go get this, whatever. My point is that it just felt like for them to put this paper together kind of now, it seems like so off base. And that's why I know you were a little...
You're right. It is very weird timing on that. Very weird timing.
Yeah, it just seems just off base. Like, yeah. Anyways.
Why do you think they're using that timing for that?
Well, like I said, I think it's coming to a close with Arrow. And so they're looking to fund again the UAP topic. And so since we just had mundane incursions that were considered UAP for a long time, they're trying to maybe milk the other side of the coin and get the UAP mystery back up and do some, you know, interest in, like Avi's saying, get some evidence of interplanetary objects. And so again, they're going to recover that object, hopefully part of that project. I mean, all of that is mentioned within this, so it's obviously part of the narrative. But again, I do think that it's all part to prove things mundane, because you and I both know that whatever they recover is not going to be alien in the way that you and I think, and they'll love that. It'll be alien because it's an interstellar rock and it may have interesting things on it. But at the same rate, is it not what we're hoping for, which is a craft or some kind of alien object, alien meaning ET. So I just feel that they saw that this is the game, you know, that it's deferring of money, deferring of interest. They're calling something else. And they're not covering the UFO topic whatsoever. And when they do talk about it, it's like this in very hypothetical sense, in very sci-fi, let's be fair. The same way Travis Taylor talks about this in a very, very sci-fi way when he talks about the alien invasion reality or aliens in general. that's when they get into their, their eyes glaze over. They don't believe it. They're hoping maybe, but they don't expect that reality. They are well funded, and they know that their job is clearly to get into our adversaries' tech.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about our adversaries' tech. As far as that goes,
Hi, Larky Derry.
the discovery and outing of that, but by no means would we hear about it. You might hear 1 in 4. We might get lucky. You'll hear about the Chinese balloon, but not the other 3 objects. And in the future, I expect that same thing. You'll hear 25% of everything. So,
no, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And it's all part of the game, man. All part of the game.
no RG tonight. He doesn't come on with me anymore. He was on last night.
You have to give him crap for that.
Yeah.
We're
He
totally
can't handle it. He can't handle my question.
What do you guys think in the chat room? YJ says disclosure isn't possible until World War III, 4, or 5 has a unanimous winner, or if aliens sprinkle the planet with MDMA dust and everyone loves everyone. It sucks, but I really think that's what's up.
Of course, YJ. I love that.
I'm headed. Hey, he's north of me. Crap hits the fan. I'm heading up north to his house, and I'm going to knock on his door, and I'm going to be like, hey, man, got room for another Jeep here?
I have my passport. I might have to join you guys up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am curious actually how your audience feels about this, because it is a little bit frustrating to see such interest without any commitment, right? There's no commitment to the real UFO topic. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get a straight answer. We're getting into NASA territory, the old NASA, never a straight answer. We need a good acronym like that for ARROW.
You know what the funny thing is? The more they try to kind of do this, the more obvious it becomes. If you just step back and look at everything that's taken place since 2014, I guess, like, it's very obvious now that they were trying to manipulate things the way they're going, exactly the way they're going. And it's never been about UFO, unfortunately. But it's like so important that it's kept alive, because the people that have had that experience know that there's something that they're not even touching on. Like, I have not yet seen any of the military releases or any of the public releases called UAP that look like anything that I have seen that I would call UFO. I don't know if other people agree, but like, it feels like a very different thing. Like, I wish that they were talking about aliens and UFO, but it feels like we just need to be more savvy than that. And like, when they're talking UAP in the news, it's nothing to do with aliens. Just be cool with that. And it sucks because they're talking about cool things in the air. And this is just, kind of my guess at what's going on. But I've yet to see that silver bullet that Jeremy likes to talk about with any good UFO information at all. And even with Jeremy's demand to get information from Lockheed, what could possibly come out that would prove it to you? I mean,
do you really think Lockheed, in the race for hypersonic speed, do you really think companies like Lockheed, Raytheon, Boeing, Grumman, McDonnell Douglas, do you really think they're going to come out and introduce that type of speed for us to the public? They don't even want the Russians or anybody to know.
Right.
Why the hell are they going to all of a sudden come out and tell us? They're not.
Right. And honestly, we shouldn't care, right? If we have that kind of stuff, that's not on our pay grade to know that stuff. But what does interest me is the possibility that they hid actual alien tech in there to reverse engineer it. That would be cool. I don't know how they could reveal that. If that came out, that would be massive. But, that's talking about extraterrestrial craft, and that would interest me. But again, for all we know, they're just talking about reverse engineering of crash debris from our competitors. And that's so frustrating with the cover stories that they had. And again, I go back to witnesses and experiencers and people that have seen this stuff up close and personal, that know that there's real UFOs and ETs. They're not talking about it. And I don't feel like they're even comfortable talking about it because they know zero about it.
Hey, Tim, I need you to cover for me. I hear my dogs pacing upstairs on the hardwood floor.
Well, hopefully people will throw something in the chat. I have it open right now, which is rare. So you're going to have horrible radio while Tim reads. Nicole's complimenting my shirt, which is great. Yeah, I have come a long way. You guys that have been around since I came on, I have. But I'm still steadfast in the fact that there is a reality that something else is going on here that is not mundane. So it's going to take a long time for you to convince me of that otherwise, at least. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yep. Oh, I'll tell you what's going on. I have a new TV show. It's going to be live, and it's going to be on channel 22, cable channel 22. And I've got 2 weeks, actually, to get this thing produced. I don't have a name yet, even. So that's great. But it's going to be on the UFO topic. What did Dave came up with a good name? Oh, he thinks it should be called Alien Eyewitness, and basically the show is going to be a different witness 2 times a week, and we're going to show their video or photographs, talk about the experience, and then we're going to talk about UFO news and their position on it. So I'm just going to ask them about current topics on it and stuff. So that will be fun, and it's, we're only going to talk about UFOs. We're not going to be talking about UAP on that at all. So Dave will love that. Let's see what else is going on. I am also really interested in the psychological effects of a UFO experience, and so I'm going to be touching on that on the show too, in a big way, because I'm really interested in that. So YJ's throwing out some advice. Tim, don't be convinced of anything. Just follow the data and scrutinize the data hard. Don't trust anyone or anything. Just follow the facts. Yeah. Good advice. Absolutely. Is my last name really Nuts and Bolts? It's my middle name. Really? Yeah, Dave didn't get the nuts joke, but that's okay. That's for another night. Yeah. Did I see the video on the space whale? No, I didn't. If you're able to give a description on where to find that, Senior Pent, that would be great. I've not seen the underground, no. Sorry I missed you earlier, Rob. I would have loved to have done the show with you, bud, but today's been nuts, and I literally just got that show today, so I've been on and off the phone dealing with that. I'm sorry, buddy. Maybe Friday. Cool. Interesting. Particle accelerator beam weapons. I know nothing about that stuff. I'm interested in it, though. Oh, yeah. Gleason talked about seeing the bodies. Nicole spitting some history. I heard that story. The secretary at Wright Pat gave testimony about seeing the bodies and the paperwork involved. E. Smith talks about working with biological materials. E. Smith. Oh, yeah, and he just did an interview recently, I think. So Nicole always coming with some great details. Thank you, Nicole Sakic. You rock.
That's why we love her around here.
Dog's okay?
Oh, yeah. Finally got him out. I think they were more interested in eating the snow than they were of actually.
Is it melting or is it accumulating?
No, it's melting. The melt has begun here at SOR headquarters, which is really, really nice.
That's great. It's been really warm here.
Dude, it is so nice. So nice to actually see pavement again.
I don't normally read chat while we're live. You have such a great chat. They say such nice things. They love you, dude.
No,
They've got your back. That
they
is beautiful.
They're vicious people. Vicious people.
Nope.
Uh,
So have you got your editing all in the box, in the can, and completed?
Yeah. It's not completed yet. We're about 3 minutes away. If you want to say goodnight, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I if people have Samsung TV, you can go to what's the channel? It's in the sci-fi Dust. If you go to the Dust network, you can see a series called Encounter UFO. And I believe I'm actually on an episode, and I worked on the series. It's yeah. I think Preston Dennett's on there as well, and a few other really great people. I'm at least on one episode. I'm not sure if more than one, but anyways, at least episode 1 or 2 called Close Encounters. You guys can go check that out there. And then I was just telling your audience about the new show I just got today. So they've already given me the digital high five. So channel 22.
Love it.
Yeah, dude.
It's going to be awesome, man.
I can't wait. And I'll bring some here if I can, and at least share links when they come available.
You do that.
Right on, buddy. Hey, thanks for keeping me up later.
I always do.
I always
do.
Right on. Let me see if I can find.
And I will talk to you. You have fun with Jessica on Friday and Mark on Monday. I'll talk to you next Wednesday, my friend.
Travel safe. Enjoy San Francisco. Give everyone my love.
I will, dude. You take care. Okay.
You too, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one. Little Timmy Senor, everybody. He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. You know what? I am so fortunate to have the network of great people that we have cultivated over the years with this show. You know, our never mind, just our team is phenomenal behind the scenes of SOR. But I look at the people out there, whether it's Nicole Sakic or Science Bob or Jonathan Davies or Grant Cameron, Tim Senor, Carl Vibe from Carl the Crusher, you know, and so many others, Melinda Leslie, Lorian Fenton, that you could just pick up the phone on a whim and give them a call and bounce ideas off of. And some of those people, I do that more often than not. And I will tell you that these people like Tim, like Nicole, and everybody else out there, I mentioned Nicole because she's in our chat room right now, they add so much to what we do behind the scenes and so much clarity and discussion and debate that you guys don't see in helping me formulate my ideas and my thoughts and to try and gain clarity to bring it to you guys, it helps make this show so much better. And it really is truly a blessing for all of us here at the show, and all, like, my entire team, as well as it really I don't even know how to put it. I really don't know how to put it at times, because it is just so amazing with what they do in order to make this better. And these people who I mention when I have these conversations and bounce my hokey read between the lines ideas, they really help me put things in perspective on and are just an incredible support system with everything. And the fact that we have that, we're very lucky here. Very lucky on SOR. On that note, reminder to all of you, Jessica Jones will be in the hot seat tomorrow night and Friday for 3 hours each night. Her guest tomorrow night will be Stephen Evan Strong, talking about monsters in Australia. Travis Moostooth, one of your favorites, will be here on Friday night for Jessica. And then Marquise will have Misha Johnson talking about experiencers on Monday night. I will be back on Tuesday with Varla Ventura, and we are going to have a great week for all of you next week as well. I'm really looking forward to it tomorrow night. I'm going to be heading home to my parents' house and then getting up at like 2:30, 3 in the morning to head to Vancouver International Airport to fly out to San Francisco. And what time do I fly out? Actually, I might as well look, right? I fly out at 10:47 a.m. So that's going to be cool. At least it'll be daylight. I'll land at about 12:30. What time do I land? 1:12 p.m. So be at the hotel by 2:30. Taco Bell on the way. Hell yeah. That's the way it needs to be done. And yeah, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to take a break and go hang out with some UFO people this weekend in San Francisco. And trust me, honestly, if you're still on the fence about our Las Vegas event, or debating whether or not to take it in, guys, I really enjoy meeting each and every one of you. I really do. It's one of the biggest thrills that I have when I can meet our listeners and we can have a conversation and take some pictures and everything. It really means the world to me. And this is why, if you're still hemming and hawing about coming to our Vegas party, May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget, just join us. It's going to be a blast. You're going to have a lot of fun. And you're going to meet some incredible people as well. So if you can make it, or you're standing on the fence, message us at info@spacedoutradio.com, info@spacedoutradio.com, and get your tickets ASAP, because we'd love to have you down there. Derek, I think we do have you marked. Are you on a Gmail account by chance? A Gmail account? Because we seem to have troubles with our emails going to Gmail accounts. I don't know why, but it's just one of those weird things that we have going on right now, that it really isn't making sense for what we are doing. It really isn't. And we've had a lot of those emails bounce back. Kat was sending out another email yesterday or today, and we're going to try and get a number of those through. One of the mistakes that we made this year was that we we forgot to ask people for their phone numbers just in case something like this happened. And that's a fault that we're definitely going to learn from that experience for next year. But on the flip side, I'm going to say goodnight to all of you. Thank you for the love this week. I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you to our super chatters tonight. Shelly, Deb, Eric, Jake, Kira, Dis, Pam S, Cat Chaser, Maggie, and Derek. And thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Don't forget to leave a comment below. It really does help with their algorithms. We'll see you next week, everybody. Enjoy Jessica the next 2 nights.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.